Fuck am I going? This way. Cool. I should have muted for that one. Did that even get through on the mic? Did people actually hear that? We found someone, didn't we? I knew it. I knew we could. If someone could please clip it real quick. I can have some thingy-madiggy, and then I need my AC capture. Properties, AC capture, yep, is not grabbing onto the Twitch thingy-madiggy. No, I'm gonna say Phantom, you broke it.
Hello!
I was doing A-okay, and then something broke just as you came in. Oh, thank you for the follow there, Riven. Greatly appreciate it. Alrighty then. Back in, here we go. It'll take a minute for the, what's-a-mahoozy to... And then we transfer once more. Let's do it again. Hide this thing. Back over here. Alrighty, there we go. So yeah. Oh, no, wait. Look at that rainbow. Isn't that fantastic? Alright. Fabupona. Hi. This bear that you drew for the pecan bear is absolutely adorable, and I love it. My particular fave is the style of the coat you've chosen and the two-color tone. Like, beautiful, it's wholesome, and I love it. Stronger than 1, stronger than 10, stronger than 100 men. An outsider? But how? By the gods! Allies of the Empire! My sincerest apologies for failing to note your arrival. Cookie for Sky! Sky, look! Rabbit girls! Rabbit girls! Hopefully you enjoyed your cookie. It was the warden you wished to know about, yes? My mother, may she rest... Shut up! Do we have car keys?
No, I don't think we do. I'm gonna place the camera.
Oh my god.
Yeah. And
this is the most himbo you're going to find me.
That stole your shirt. I'm sorry, I just wanted to oogle zebra titties.
Oogle. Oogle before the zebra titties. Meow. Hang on a second, let me move my keyboard out of the way so I can do like... So I can drag it across the desktop. Watch this nonsense.
Hello!
Spin! Spinning. This is like a render of me instead of like active.
My day be
okay,
so
so
fine.
Alright.
Then boom.
Morning. Right, can chat tell the difference between me? Here we go.
Oh, this.
Click, 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 click,
This is
click, 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 click. Congratulations, Morse! You are my biggest fan! Congratulations, Morse Amalgam. You are my biggest fan. Hendrix is no longer my biggest fan. Fuck Hendrix. You are now my biggest fan. Thank you so much. Let's go with 4 cuts.
The real you is super ugly.
Wow! What's my username on Twitter? It's GrantZeebs. What's my username on Telegram? GrantZeebs. What's my username on Discord? GrantZeebs. What's my username on Twitch? GrantZeebs. What's my username on YouTube? Well, YouTube is technically using a Google account in order to do that kind of nonsense, and I can't have a direct link to YouTube, but lo and behold, GrantZeebs. Ta-da! Don't say it. Don't say it, Grant. You know what Bone wrote. You don't say it. Probably is the one time, I'm being real with you, Morse. Like, I'm pretty sure I have it where that thing is properly tracking the number of times it's been redeemed and what have you. Hi, you're watching from your phone since you're making food? Not to worry.
I don't care what gender you are. Put on the maid outfit.
God fucking damn it. I don't like being in the maid outfit. I don't like it. I don't like it. But yeah, I'm pretty sure...
Go suck a lemon.
You go suck a lemon, furry cures. But yeah, grabs the target info from that who redeemed, then it grabs from the user. So it goes... Oh, so that's for the first, where it grabs target user, you go and then it says, congrats target user, percentile user count times. So, hang on a second. So then if you go biggest fan, which is from Gravity Falls. Thank you for the Hyper Himbo, though, Head. I really appreciate it. Huh. Oh, maybe... No, hang on, it's... Let me have a look at the action queue, actually. Hang on a second. Action queue history. Biggest fan, Gravity Falls. So when it was queued... Yeah, okay, I've been doing it improperly. It's not... You didn't use it one time. You've used it 5 times. This is the 5th time that you've been my biggest fan. That... Okay, hang on a second, I need to fix that. So, user counter. So, there we go. You QA'd? What do you mean you QA'd? Thank you for quality assuring. Let's see what happens. So, if I go BF... hang on a second. Because there's a particular thing... Alright. Twitch, add target info from... Yeah, okay, so biggest fan, ding, dong, redemption fulfilled, set the stat using this action in the usual, must have been created by, if canceling, yeah, okay, cool, so, Twitch, user, get user info for target. So, yeah, alright, so it gets added from that who redeemed it, and then it gets it from the input. So if I go ding ding dong ding, I then go exclamation... So if I do exclamation point biggest fan...
Oh, this is...
Nope, that's incorrect. Why? Hang on. First... From that who redeemed, and then from use... Ah, okay, so I need target user, that's what I need, so... Ow!
Bone Musky Dog with the 22-month tier 1 sub.
Target
22
user...
months, my how the time flies.
Target user counted. Thank you so much for subscribing for 22 months, Bone Mask! Thank you so much, I greatly appreciate it. You don't have to deal with any sort of advertisement, and you get to utilize all the cool different emotes that I've had set up all like in the last 3 years I think I've been streaming. So yeah, have you got a favorite yet? I wonder if you've got a favorite. Okay, so target users nowadays to be my biggest fan. Okay, let's try. So if I go to my action queue and then I re-queue it.
Oh, this is...
Okay, so I need to... Alright, hang on a sec. So, ding. When it was queued, so that it got the command ID, it got the raw input escaped, input escaped was Morse amalgam, user count. Subscription tier is moderator. From running. Oh, okay, so I can't get like the target user's like thingy-madiggy unless. So yeah, because it's a it's a redeem thing. Give me a few. Yeah, target user ID, target username, target user. I can see whether or not the broadcast is a partner, the event source, is VIP, is moderator, is subscribed, user type, user ID. Nah. Doesn't give me a, like, user counter is like the thing. So where is it? So I need to fix. So it's no longer target user counter, it's just user counter. Oh, but I could requeue the one from. Hang on a second. I'll just requeue the first one. Here we go.
Oh, this is.
Yeah, there we go. They've proven themselves 5 times to have been my biggest fan. All right, now I need to adjust that cost because that's not meant to be like 10,700. That should be more like platforms, channel point redeems for my biggest fan, Morse Amalgam. That should be 10,300. Wait, hang on. No, tell me how much you redeemed it for. I am fixing things. Don't you worry. Okay, so 10,400 is meant to be the current thingy-majiggy. 10,400. Fixed! Did it. I am such a fucking wizard. I am such a fucking coding genius, and I reflect that at work as well. I had a fun time at work. Like, in the last, like, half hour of work,
Morse Amalgam paid me to say troubleshooting.
Yeah. Yep, like that watermelon. We just smashed through it. But yeah, so, fun fact about something that happened at work. I won't get into, like, the crazy details to find out who and what have you, but we have a script, or we have, like, an email that comes to us saying, hey, this person is going to be leaving us. This is the date they announced that they were leaving. This is the day that they're actually finishing, like, their last day. Sippies. This is the day that they're actually leaving, and, like, you know, this, or something rather. So, we get this email, and so we are meant to run a script. So we've automated the process a little bit for, oh, this person is leaving us, so we run it on the day they leave. So the person that, like, left half an hour early or something like that from work, they were the one that got the email ticket of, like, oh, hey, this person's about to leave. They didn't read the date correctly because it's set up in, like, the file, like, the computer way, where it's like the Japanese, where it goes year, month, day. So it was like 2024, July 8th. July 5th, sorry. They didn't read it like that. What they read instead was so they thought it was 2024, May 7th. Year, month, day is the superior date. Thank you so much, Morse. Thank you. And you know what this guy did? This guy looked at that date, and they went, oh, that's today. May 7th. Or, sorry, it was meant to be going off May 7th, but it went off, but it needs to go off right now. So they did the exit, and then they like, left home and such like that. 20 minutes later, or less than that, we get a message in our Slack channels, our desktop support Slack channel, and the person's like, hey, I'm trying to sign into my Outlook and it's saying it's locked. And I'm like, oh, okay, could you please sign into you know, this portal here so you can like unlock it yourself or reset your password. And he's like, it's locked there too. And I was like, really? I looked at their thing and it's like, oh, they're disabled and shit. I'm like, why are they? And then I go to Active Directory and I see they're disabled there, and I see that, like, we have the descriptor field just filled with, like, the whole, oh, hey, this person's being deactivated, da-da-da. And I'm like, should this person not be talking to us right now? So I then had to scrounge through all my scrounge through the tickets, and I found the exit ticket, and it's like, oh, hey, no, this person wasn't meant to be leaving now. He doesn't leave for another 2 months. So now I'm scrambling. I'm like, hey, hi there. Give me a minute. Someone might have accidentally have done this. I'm reversing all the exit. I'm so pleased that our exit script gives you a little output of like, oh, hey, they've been cut out from this department. We've cut out this manager. We removed them from these groups. We removed them from these email addresses. We've set up this auto. Oh my God, I've Brexited it. Look, it's not my fault. But I also just remembered I need to turn off an auto reply. I need to get into the admin portal really quick and turn off the auto reply because there's gonna be an auto reply on nearly all the messages of, "Hi there, I am no longer working for this company." I'm going to need to fix that before it's too late. And here's the thing, this guy is a high level. He's not like some fucking plebe. He's not a call center person working part-time. This is a head of. It's in his job title. It says head of at the start. Oh, it's oh boy. All right, admin, come on. Give me my admin. There we go. I need to fix that before they go into work the next day of like, "Hi there, why am I auto-replying to all these messages?" Here we go. Ding, ding, ding. I knew I was forgetting something. Hi there, Sir Dragon, welcome to the stream. So yeah, I hope you appreciate that, Morse, where I just, oop, try again. I didn't do my ID thingy. There we go. Sorry, I had to like look at my phone to like do a multi-factor authentication. But yeah, so, oh, I can't wait to rip into this technician. I can't wait to rip into this technician for basically cutting a person 2 months because they could not read the date format. They looked at it, it said it was year, month, day, and they thought it was year, day, month. That's a mistake you can make with the UK and the US date system. That is not a mistake you can make with the system or the Japanese system. I almost forgot the name of the person we exited, but never mind. I remember. Yep, cool. Alright, the automatic reply is already turned off. I guess they turned it off themselves. Well,
Masked Dog demands you drink.
Sippy time. Your food's ready? Nice. Ah. Alright, well, that's good. But yeah, I'm glad I was able to reverse some of the stuff. But it did reveal, like, a bit of a problem. My script is not properly removing the cloud groups, so I need to fix that. This person was, like, kicked out of all of our different, thingy-madiggies, except for the email groups, which I'm gonna be real with you, I really appreciate that I didn't have to, like, scrounge through all the different, groups they needed to be put back in. But yeah, it only reads the Tifa and Aerith groups. It just removes the Active Directory groups, the locally synced ones. You are a floofy six-eye primordial, and you demand sippies. I did the sippies! Didn't you hear me? Gulping? But yeah, your favorite emote is the donut. Nice. Good emote. But yeah. So, that went off. That was at the end of the day, which was pretty fun. One of the things I got a few responses to the Google form that I submit, and actually, hang on a sec. I'll paste it in here as well, and this is going to be a pinned message. Because I imagine Morse has not, I imagine Morse and a few of you have not yet seen this message, and I'll get it, like, pinned at the start. But essentially, why is it not pinning for me? There we go. Manually unpin after the end of stream. There we go. So, I have a Google, hopefully this Google form works. Yes, it does. Cool, it still works. I have a Google form where I have been collating all the different responses. You can respond more than once if you want as well. Your name is not there. The only things I get are timestamps, so that's when the form was submitted. And then 2 questions. What is a game/series you would submit as part of the quote-unquote gamer canon? And then the second one is an optional one where you could give a reason for why you would give to such a like option, like the game or the series. I have actually gotten a few responses. So I've given you guys a link back on Monday. I gave work a link today. Oh, sorry, I gave work a link yesterday, and I left it open for them as well. So we'll go, and I'm hoping to get a few more responses today as well. So if you can't remember what response you gave, or maybe you want to give more than the initials you gave, you're welcome to do so. The Google Forms is actually, like, I can give you a hint of, like, how far it's gone and such. There have been 137 responses. There's been 137 games or game series that has been recommended as, oh, you should be aware or you should have played this video game. So, and, like, I really appreciate that Google Forms has this thing where if you go to the questions and you, like, want to look at responses, it will thankfully organize the responses. So it can be like, oh, if the text entry is the exact same as another one, it will say, like, that's the iteration of a response. So, for example, I have had two responses say Metal Gear Solid, 2 responses for Disco Elysium, 2 for Portal, 2 for Super Mario 64, 2 for Chrono Trigger, 2 for Tetris, and someone being extra special told me Pokemon Blue/Red/Yellow parentheses 1998. Hell yeah, who else out here recommending Disco Elysium? Probably one of my workmates, because I posted it in a Slack message, and one of the things they did, hang on a sec, let me, like, instead of posting a response in the Google form, they instead just started a conversation in the threads. So let me see if I can get it going and such like that, because, like, there was, like, a point or two that was of interest on, like, oh, like, you bring up a good point, but I'm of the same aim, but, like, I have a counter for it, quite frankly, on, like, whether or not it's something that should, stop you from giving a response. Because here's the thing, as I explained back on Monday, I am of the belief that if you have, like, if you want to give a response, don't pussyfoot around. Don't like, tread the waters and being like, oh, what genre have you already experienced? Would you be interested in this genre here? Or, oh, what do you think of this game? It's like, no. A recommendation is you recommend this, and it's, like, just purely on the values of, the thing you're recommending. You don't need to be like, oh, you'll enjoy Dark Souls if you are a fan of Poison Swamps, or, oh, you shouldn't play Mortal Kombat unless you are comfortable with side-scrollers, or, oh, you should only be playing, Pokemon if you've got a Game Boy. It's like, no. Oh my god! Bookie, what the fuck? What the? Bookie, you're giving me Pepsi Max? I can't believe that thing worked as well. Okay, Bookie, they are responsible for another gift that they finished crowdsourcing for me. Hang on a second. So I can replay the thingy-majiggy. Hopefully this works. No, it doesn't. All right, what about this one? There we go. They contributed to the Ring Fit Adventure. So not only am I getting thigh highs in the mail at one point, and just then, not only am I going to get a whole pack of Pepsi Max, thank you so much for the Pepsi Max, I really appreciate it. It's going to be really cool cracking them open on stream, but I really appreciate the Ring Fit Adventure, because that one is in, that was originally, I think, going to be a featured, like, gift item, but I've changed it to the scales. But, thank you so much for the Ring Fit. If you want to know, for everyone else that's wondering what the fuck is going on, I have a throne. There are so many different items on there, and 2 of those things have now been gifted to me. Pepsi Max and the Ring Fit Adventure. Thank you so much. I am probably going to need to play the Ring Fit Adventure on stream in the future, because, I feel like that's an easy one to do. Thank you so much. Thank you. So yeah. Oh yeah. Back to the. Let me just get into the gaming channel, because yeah, I'm the only one that's like. It's like the first message back on Tuesday. So yeah. So I put in, you know, my little blurb of, much like how movie fans or connoisseurs have a number of films that all view/know of. Think Citizen Kane, The Dark Knight, The Lord of the Rings, Despicable Me. There must be a series of video games, either a singular entry or an entire series, that those who are either fans, critics, or connoisseurs would also say are almost essential for a gamer to play/know. Now, here's the fun thing. Rather than putting entries in, first thread. What about games which are a product of their time or, quote-unquote, you had to be there? So their argument is like WoW in 2003. You can never go back to WoW in 2003. I still, like, let's be real. World of Warcraft, I think, is a valuable, you know, thing to put into, you know, the gamer conscience. Similar to the critically acclaimed MMORPG Final Fantasy XIV, complete with a free trial through the entirety of A Realm Reborn and the critically acclaimed expansion Heavensward and critically acclaimed expansion Stormblood up to level 70 with no restrictions on playtime. Like, I'm very much of the thought of, like, if you have a game that has that feeling of, oh, you, quote-unquote, you had to be there, I think you should still add it. Like, I don't think video games are... It's not a... Like, short of a modern game like Overwatch, where you just can't play Overwatch, you can only play Overwatch 2. Short of that, you can play games of old. It is easier to play games in the past because we've worked on, you know, either modernizing it like a remake like Resident Evil 2 or Resident Evil 4, or we have, you know, modified the actual server. So for instance, WoW Classic, before it was released as WoW Classic by Blizzard, that used to be a mods thing. You used to be able to just, you know, break the rules of your terms and conditions and play Classic WoW. And then the next question was, here it is. What you're asking can be answered in two ways and is telling of the proponent's own life and views in a way. Generationality, generationally. Some games, much like, you know, WoW and what have you, are a product of their time, and the experience of playing them changes radically based on the decade they were played in. In a way, some games transcend these boundaries, I believe. It would be the latter you're looking for, if I'm reading your request. So yeah, if I told you to pick up Gears of War and play it today, you would raise complaints that the whole damn thing is too brown, parentheses, like most O3 Unreal Engine 3 action titles it seems, and too linear. You know what? You should have still submitted Gears of War, because guess what? We needed to go through that. We had stages of games to go through. Much like how we're going through right now the, you know, hugely bloated install files for all the high-quality pixels and uncompressed sounds, we had to go through the brown stage, the green stage, the detective vision being just the better way of viewing a game, and then you had to, you know, try and change the way you actually program. Because let's be real, The Last of Us has a detective vision mode, but you don't use detective vision all the time. You have yellow paint. So they did it in the game. Like, they gave a, you know, a, what's the word? They gave a diegetic reason to direct you in the game, and that was with yellow paint. Much like how the stasis bar, the health, and the clip annotation in Dead Space, that is a diegetic design. It's on the suit, it's on your gun. It's not a heads up display on the sides like in Mass Effect. WoW Classic is a wholly different experience in 2024 compared to WoW in 2004 though. I would argue that WoW, and like the reason why people talk about, oh, WoW Classic in 2024 isn't the same as WoW 2004 is it's less about the mechanics. Like, oh, this is the design philosophy of WoW, like between the two different years. I think it's purely a social thing. Because here's the thing, video game, like when WoW was released in 2004, there was no Discord. That was the major appeal of the massive online multiplayer games. Was before the age of Discord, before the age of, like, Facebook and, like, centralized communications based off of, like, a niche. Your best means of communicating with your friends was within, like, either physically with them or with whatever the game could supply you. So, for example, Call of Duty lobbies with their voice chats and such. So, yeah, it would be a bit of a cultural change, don't get me wrong, but at that point, it's the same sort of reason why I don't usually rate games like Helldivers 2 very highly, or Among Us and such, is those are, or Lethal Company even, those are games where the fun is with your friends, not the game itself. And I feel like that's why I wouldn't put Lethal Company in the little, oh, what's a game you consider canon? Because like, you could possibly do Among Us. Nah, but Among Us is in the same sort of thing as Salem, I guess. But yeah, that's the reason why I wouldn't put any sort of, like, unless, like, put a lot of the multiplayer games other than, like, the niche ones, like Call of Duty Modern Warfare 4, which is, you know, when shooters went into a modern scene without it being, you know, just a blatant Americana army recruitment tool. Not the COD lobby voice chats. Yes, the COD lobby voice chats. Before Discord, you had the COD lobby voice chats. You had the World of Warcraft chats. You had the Final Fantasy 14 chats. You had RuneScape in the marketplace. Ventrilo? When did Ventrilo become a thing? And didn't Ventrilo cost money as well? Ventrilo is a client-server-based connection that is already encrypted. User data is now... Alright, let's have a look at the Wikia. It's a proprietary voice-over IP that includes text. The client and server, both available as freeware for use with up to 8 people on the same server. Rented servers can maintain up to 400 people. The Ventrilo server is available under a limited license. The man is still unable to properly use most servers because of a lack of support for the sparsely used GSM codec. So yeah, this would not have been an easy way in, you know, communicating with more than 8 people. What's more, you had to spend money. Like, because it talked about a rented server, so let's be real. If you were playing World of Warcraft, you were not spending your money on renting a server. You were already spending your money on staying connected to World of Warcraft. So yeah. Excuse me. But it's like 80% the change in culture. You might have people making Chuck Norris jokes on Classic, but it's only because they're parroting the original. It's the Civil War versus Civil War enactment. You're right. Every guildmaster I knew had a Ventrilo server they were paying for. Jeez, were you a guildmaster? I'm not a guildmaster. I never became a guildmaster. Made talking easier with a group of friends, but not too many. Great way to keep the channels clear. Alrighty. Okay, I am going to move the Discord up here. I'm going to have chat over here. I'm going to move StreamerBot over there. So if you've got any entries you want to include in the quote-unquote gamer canon, I would love to see some entries. We were sitting at like a 130 something or others, and I reckon there's more games people can recommend to me. It's like, don't let my, like, reasons for why I won't include games, you know, be like a thing of you not including them. I just don't include Helldivers, Among Us, and all those kinds of games. It's like, oh, you should play it kind of thing, just because, like, I'm a predominantly single player experience sort of player. Like, the reason why I'm so into Final Fantasy 14 rather than World of Warcraft is because Final Fantasy 14 is critical in the RPG department, not the MMO department. So, alrighty, let me see. Did I remember to install Yakuza 3? I'm pretty sure I did. It would be really dumb if I didn't. Ding, dong, hubbing, where am I? Where am I doing? What am I doing? Oh, this. Oh, wrong thing. There we go. Ding, dong, hubbing, habong. All right. Where's Yakuza 3? Yakuza 3. Yakuza 3 is right here. Yakuza 3 Remake. Or Remaster, sorry, for the Windows 10. Holy shit, I hope this doesn't have any, like, input lag issues. I hope it's not going to be a problem. Alrighty. Oh, thank you for the head pats, Ginger Fox. Hi, welcome. Shout out to Tag. Gotta be one of your favorite multiplayer games. Is that so? It's one of your favorite multiplayer games. Yep. So we're using GrantZeebs. Why does it do this? Why does it ask for that stuff? Hi, I'm doing alright, Ginger Fox. Can we get a shout out for Ginger Fox, please? That would be appreciative. There we go. Is the game gonna pop up on the thingy-majiggies? I hope so. There we go. Alright, that does mean I need to pause the music in the background, because we no longer need that. Do you guys hear that? Is it? Oh, there we go. Oh, Jesus. Okay, the quality from oh my god, this is loud. Is it too loud for you guys, or is it just the right volume? Give me a second. Options. Audio. Let's put that down to like 40%. Music we'll put to like 30. Special effects we'll put to like 69. Let's put it to 69. And then cinematic will stay at 100. Actually, cinematic we're gonna put to 80. There we go. That should be a lot better. That way it's not like just BAM! Alright, start from the beginning on normal difficulty. I received the Yukio Bell as a present. Nice. This is a work of fiction. Any resemblance to actual persons, living or dead, or actual events is purely coincidental. Furthermore, this workplace takes place in 2009, and I missed out on the rest of the things. Thank you for the double shout-outies. Not to worry. It's not a double shout-outies, it's just a shout-out, because it's like, the Twitch one actually tells you, like, metric-wise of like, oh, someone shouted you out, and they shouted you out to this many people. And then the announcements makes it so that it's available for you and what have you. Oh, look at us. We've retired. Nice. Where the fuck are we? You've shouted them out in 2 channels. Ah, okay. They're double dipping is what they're doing. Ow, wrist. What the hell, wrist? Haruku looks a little downgraded. I have no idea who Rikia is. Wait, Anaki? What? Meanwhile, in Chinatown of Yokohama. Oh yeah, that's what's Mahuzi from the previous game. He was like, he was in a gang before he like, we made him now the leader of the Tojo clan.
堂島です。
There we go. Yeah. Something Dojima of the...
だからその件に関しては先日お断りしたはずじゃ。ええ、そうです。この件、登場会は一切手引かせてもらいます。
I honestly thought they were gonna do the dun on him. Welcome back, Bookie.
100億200億積まれても答えは同じだ。それじゃあ。
会長。
うん。
今の電話、例の沖縄の一件では。本当に断っていいのでしょうか。
どういう意味だ。
お言葉ですが、今本家は直系白鵬会の上がりでやっていけてる状態です。
Go suck a lemon.
あの沖縄の
Hi there, air code.
この先10年は食っていけるだけの金が
I'm not dragging anything on.
ざっと見
We
積もって
just started the game.
いや、それ以上の金が。それに今、あの男に恩を売っておけば、後々政界との強いパイプが。
黙れ。そんなことは百も承知だ。だが、あの土地は奪えねえ。
4代目の剣ですか。
登場会は4代目に何度も救われてきた。
So yeah, I'm pretty sure
居場所を奪うことはできねえ。
he's so I think he's the 7th Tojo chairman. Because number 4 was Watsumahuzi, not Dojima, but the other guy. He got shot. His will allowed anyone else to become, like, you know, the will would allow him, was like passed to whoever had it, would be the chairman. So Kiryu was technically the 5th. So then the 6th went to some random dude who pretended to die in Kiwami 2 in order to, like, help the Chinese mafia, I think it... No, the Korean mafia, sorry. So the... No, Chinese or Korean? This is a really important thing, because I need to remember one of the two. Okay, point is, there's been a lot of chairmen. He's like the 7th one. He's like something Dojima. He's the son of the Dojima guy that we were below that, you know, we took the blame for being shot and shit.
なんだ。
実は先ほど会長にお客様が。
誰だ。
それが。
何？
何？
どこからどう見てもご本人としか言いようがありません。
どこにいる？
今会長室にお通ししてあります。
わかった。
I thought he was dead at this point.
驚かせましたか。
I thought Kazuma was dead at this point. What? What?
これは
今のあなたにとって大切なものです。
これは沖縄の土地の権利書だが、あの土地には4代目が。
知ってますよ。 あなたにはあの桐生一馬がいる土地を奪うことはできない。
Oh, we were the fourth? No,
だ
that...
からあなたに代わって私たちが権利書を取ってきたんです。
どうしてそのことを？
今我々は東上界の沖縄の土地買収の件から降りてもらうわけにはいかないんです。
だが
What do you call a murderer that makes lemonade? A mermaid? Nah, that didn't work too well.
だが俺はあの沖縄の一件
Okay, hang on a second. Hang on a second. I'm going to need to open up Opera GX because somehow I have fucked up on like the order of succession. So Yakuza wiki. So in the Yakuza wiki, so we went through 0. We went through Kiwami. We went through Kiwami 2, and we're going to 3. So let's just go for Yakuza Kiwami. So, Goro, hang on a second. Where the fuck are you? Yakuza. Kamurocho. Kazuma Kiryu. Alright, so, Dink. So, 0 and 1, he looked like that. In Kiwami 1, he looked like this. This is what he looked like in Kiwami 2, and this is what he looks like apparently in 3. Alright, so. Alright, hang on a second. Involvement in Kiwami. So, at 27 years old, became lieutenant advisor of the Dojima clan and is on his way to start a family zone. Then Sohei. So yeah, I did a debt collection thing. Yumi was kidnapped by Sohei Dojima. Nishiki murdered Sohei Dojima, who was like, you know, the patriarch. 10 years later for answers and is directed to Kazuki and Yuya and Stardust. So yeah, hang on a sec. So yeah, so he went to a funeral. Okay, so he went to Eri from the directs him to Purgatory to seek the florist. Goes to the fights Majima family. Utabori kidnapped by mysterious men. So Haruku's kidnapped by the Snake Flower Triad. Shinji Takana, who had kept Kazuma in hiding, informs Kiryu that there's a mole. Heads to Shangri-La. Majima arrives, sending the facility into despair. Gets acquainted with Yukio and learns the following. Yumi is Mizuki. Haruka's father is Koihei Jingyu. Was a participant of the 10 billion yen theft. Shimano and his family arrive to kill Kazuma, but Osamu arrives with reinforcements. Kazuma is mortally wounded by a grenade after Kiryu carelessly turns his back to Shimano, who's promptly killed. Thingy reaches the top, reunites with Yumi. They're interrupted by Jingyu. Kiryu defeats Jingyu and his men, later confronting and fighting it out after the lady declares his ambitions. Following Kiryu's victory, he returns to shoot him in the leg, but after he gets caught, is willing to go to jail after having lost seemingly everyone. Date reminds him that he still has Haruku, who has become the... Okay, so he became the 4th chairman at that point through Sarah's will. Passes the chairmanship to Terada in order to start a new life. Yeah, so Terada meets us at the Watsumahuzi place. He fakes his death. So Terada was the 5th chairman, which makes Daigo Dojima the 6th chairman. So this guy here. He's featured as a... and so we go against the Go Riju clan, so the 5 Dragon clan. So do some infighting. We then have to deal with... Who are we dealing with? The Jingweon, which translation is... God damn it, no. How do I stop this thing from... It's called World War II. They get to Kamurocho Hills. Alrighty then, cool. Alrighty. No, we are not skipping the cinematic. Sorry, I just had to catch up.
もう手を引くと決めたんだ。
あなたは登場界の6代目。3万人の構成員を養うには、そんなことは言ってらんないでしょう。
それでも俺が断ると言ったら。
それは困りましたね。
Okay, so that explains the earlier cutscene when Kiryu gets told about what's Mahuza getting shot.
おじき、
中原は
今手術してます。どうなんだ。親父の容体は。
Oh wait, different boss? What?
くそ。
さきちゃん。
Hi there, Benru. It's 6 degrees. God, I wish it was 6 degrees. Cookie for Bookie. Here's your cookie, Bookie. Okay, maybe I should just focus on the cutscenes now.
犯人は割れてんのか。
いえ、お嬢と二人きりのところを襲われたんで。
Okay, so...
親父は腹に数発食らったみたいで。
どこかの組の会士か。
いえ、多分土地買収の絡みです。事務所から例の土地の権利書がなくなってました。
何？
絶対玉城組の連中に決まってる。奴ら1年前のことで俺たちを逆恨みして。いや、それがどうも違うみたいで。
どうしたんださき。
ですか。
That is Kazuma.
これって。
兄貴、こいつ兄貴が知ってる人なんですか。
ああ、俺の死んだ親父。
It's his
風間のおやっさんだ。
Yeah, which, like, okay, cool. So he was dead. I'm pretty sure he was killed in Yakuza 1. Like, Yakuza Kiwami was when he was killed. But yeah, hi there, Jerry. It's snowing and it's coming down, and you're coming down with a cold. Damn. Sorry about the cold, but I am envious of anyone that gets to have a winter. Thank you. Oh, this is back at the ending of Kiwami 2. She looks different in this cutscene compared to when we last saw her. We can get to that later, though I assume you like to pay your respects to the people you've lost first. Yeah, it might be nice to stop for a second and reflect on everything that's happened. Alright, so... So Terada was one of the leaders of Kansai's Yakuza conglomerate known in the Omni Alliance. Despite working for our rivals, you owed Kazuma a huge debt, leading you to try and stop the Tojo clan's infighting over the missing 10 billion yen. After seeing the kindness and generosity in your heart, I decided to leave the Tojo clan. So yeah, so he became the 5th chairman. To protect the weakened Tojo from the Omni Alliance, you opted to call a truce with their leader, Jin Goda. But it was all part of a plot to take revenge for the Jingweon massacre from over 20 years earlier. Even so, you owed your life to Kazuma. That's why I chose to believe you when you asked me to trust you as you died. Because of you, Terada, I learned never to give up on people, even when things take a turn for the worse. I hope someday the Tojo clan becomes the kind of organization you always wanted it to be. Until that day, watch over them, please. Alrighty, next person. Nishiki? Yep, so this is his friend. We were both taken in by Kazuma at the Sunflower Orphanage. That you joined the Yakuza. Both of them being, like, you know, in the Dojima family, with, you know, Sohei Dojima being the lead. When Yumi was kidnapped, he murdered Sohei Dojima. And that, like, spun, like, all things out of control, and so Kiryu was in jail for 10 years. Sacrificed the world for you. Yumi's disappearance and your sister's illness led you down a path of despair. When I saw you again 10 years, you were a changed man. All you cared about was becoming chairman of the Tojo clan. In the end, you and I fought over the 10 billion yen that has been stolen from the Tojo. Even still, you sacrificed yourself to save me. I wouldn't be standing here now if it wasn't for you. Rest in peace, Nishiki. You're a great friend. Right until the end. So yeah, this was Yumi, who helped orchestrate the theft of the 10 billion yen. The three of us were happy. Then on that, Sohei kidnapped you. You had to watch while you murdered him. The shock of it caused you to lose your memory. Before you regained it, though, you met a diet member named Kyohei Jingyu and conceived a child with him, Haruka. That's our niece, Haruka. She calls us Uncle Kiryu. Once you recovered your memories and learned of Jingyu's plan, you left Haruka at Sunfire and began working with Chairman Sarah and Kazuma to stop him. There's so much I wish I'd gotten the chance to say to you. I'm sure the same goes for Haruka, so we'll be back to visit. So yeah. And then this was supposed to be Kazuma or, you know, what's Mihuzi? Yeah, Kazuma. How could I repay you for everything you did for me? Even though you're a ranking Tojo officer, you devoted your life to Sunflower Orphanage and raised me and the other kids like we were your own flesh and blood. And when I got expelled from the clan and sentenced to 10 years in jail for the murder of Sohei Dojima, you were one of the only people who didn't abandon me. Then, when I finally got out of prison, you used the Kazuma family to protect me from the Tojo, who were out for my head. You even laid down your life to save Haruka. After your death, I took over as 4th chairman of the Tojo clan and managed to put a stop to the infighting. But I wanted to wash my hands of the Yakuza life, so I installed Terada as the 5th chairman. Like me, he owed you a massive debt. That wasn't the end of my involvement, though, as I came back into the fold to deal with the Jingweon Mafia's plot for revenge. You see, some Jingweon members you spared 20 years ago wanted revenge on the Dojima family for their downfall. But I managed to thwart their plans. And now the Tojo is at the crossroads yet again. But I have someone in mind to take over. Someone I trust to lead the clan back down the right path. Rest in peace, Kazuma-san. You deserve that much, and thank you for everything. Heck, I'm making a living from snow, but now when winter is over, I kind of had enough of it. Fair enough. Okay, I think... yeah. Oh my god. This movement is entirely different, and what's more is, I'm not getting like a... I'm not getting an input lag from this quite yet. It's like... look at this. Absolutely fucking tweaking in the cemetery. Okay, cool. Are you finished? Yep, I've done all I need to do. Right. I guess you'll be leaving then. Yep. Heading down to Okinawa tomorrow morning. You know, I never pegged you as the kind of guy to start an orphanage. It's been a dream of mine to take care of kids, though. Just like Kazuma-san did for me when I had nowhere to turn. The textbook Kazuma Kiryu response if ever I've heard one. But why Okinawa? There's a place there with ties to Sunflower. When their old manager died, they asked me if I knew anyone who might be able to lend a hand. And you decided that person should be you. It seemed like the perfect opportunity. Aren't many opportunities for an ex-Yakuza out in the wild anyway. I hear Okinawa was beautiful too. Yeah, and the orphanage is right down by the beach. You should come visit when you get the chance. I'd love that, but I doubt I'll be able to for a while. Why is that? Well, I'm actually leaving the country. Tomorrow. Where to? The U.S. They're starting a training program for a new branch of the Metropolitan Police, and they've asked me to be an instructor. Is it really that? Ow, why you gotta throw shit at me, Sky? Why you gotta hurt me like this? Is it really that simple? You'd probably try to stop me if I said more. Might be best to just leave it at that. Right. Well, I can't say I'm not happy for you. It's good to see you following your heart. I thought you'd say that. And besides, I don't think you'd like it very much if I turned them down to stay with you. Guess not. There's still a lot I want to accomplish as a police officer, Kiryu-san. Career goals, you know? And I think America's the best place for me to do that. Is America the best place to do that? Yeah, maybe. You're probably right. So let's go our separate ways, for now. I'll come find you once I've done what I need to do, okay? Promise. It's a promise. Oh my god, there's a peeping Tom at the cemetery, no doubt.
結局あの二人はくっつかなかったか。
まあ仕方ないでしょう。佐山君には警察官の夢がありますからね。
夢ね。ガス切れか。
God damn it, Date.
悪い。
Bonker.
That's a cool light.
返さないで結構です。差し上げます。
お、
It's a good
一家じゃ
lighter.
タバコは吸えませんから。
一家だと？
私は来月付で4課から1課へ戻ります。極道相手の4課じゃ吸えても、殺人事件を扱うエリートコースの1課じゃ吸えませんからね。
ね。
昇進したのか？よかったじゃないか。
いやいや、そういうわけでもありませんよ。
ん？
今回の東上会と近江連合の構想。
Yep.
結局、警視庁も府警も後手に回り何もすることはできませんでした。それに加えて、倉橋課長と人言派の起こした警察内部の不祥事。警察としては大きな汚点を残す結果に。
じゃあなんで一家に戻るんだ？
口封じですよ。佐山君も私も今回の抗争事件に関わった人間は皆昇進。本人の希望部署に転属させることで不祥事をうやむやにするつもりなんでしょう。
とはいえよかったじゃねえか。これでお前もまたエリートコースに戻れたわけだ。
まあそうなんですけど。
浮かねえ顔だな。
心配なんですよ。
何が？
今後のカムロ町が。警察は今後東上会や近江連合といった組織に対して一定の距離を取る方針です。今回の警察の失態を救ったのはある意味彼らでしたからね。
なるほどな。で、何が心配なんだ？
私はまだ極道を信じてません。
That's just a
もし
generally
東上
good
会の跡目
outlook
が
to
桐生さ
have.
んじゃないなら、またカムロ町は昔のような荒れた町に。
大丈夫だ。
Cerveza Cristal. Sorry, there's an advertisement going off, chat.
カムロ町を去る前にやることはやってくはずだ。
それじゃあそろそろ行く。
ええ。今日はカムロ町にでも行くの？
ああ。和樹や優也たちに一言挨拶しないとな。それにどうしても一人話をしておかないとならない奴がいるんだ。
東上会のことね。
ああ。このまま行けば大悟が東上会の6代目を継ぐ。だが大悟はまだ若い。組みまとめるだけの力が足りない。
東上会を支えられる人間、誰か当てはあるの？
俺と同じように
You have an equestrian
昔からの
question.
登場会をして
You have an equestrian question? Ooh, an equestrian question. Since I'm an equestrian, and equestrians like apples as treats, if you had to choose, am I more into apples or pears? Apple. I would go for an apple over a pear. I'm more of an... I'd rather go for an apple. I won't eat the entire apple. I can't... I know some people can do this thing where they can eat the core of the apple as well, but I can't do that. I can't eat the core of an apple. I can get around the sides and what have you, but I can't go with, like, you know, eating the stem and the core. It's just not possible for me.
人間が一人な。
なるほどね。けど堂島大吾に彼を飼いならすだけの度量があるかしら。
あいつは誰にも飼いならされるような玉じゃねえよ。
真島五郎。
Yep.
要は彼が今の登場界に魅力を感じるか、それだけってことね。
そうだな。
彼のこと説得できるかしら。
やるしかねえんだ。だから俺は今日どうしても真島に会う。そして奴を説得する。
殴り合うような展開にならないといいわね。
まあ、そればっかりはわからんがな。
No, I don't like apple
気をつ
pie.
けてね。
ああ。
I don't eat a lot of fruits. I will be real with you.
じゃあ、行って。
I like banana bread though. I can get behind banana bread. I can't get behind apple pie or apple crumble.
Bye bye.
Bye. Welcome back, viewers. Hi, Jason.
おじさんとカムロ町を歩くのも今日が最後かもしれないんだね。
Hello.
Hello.
またいつでも帰ってこられる。
I'm doing all right. No, I'm not a pomegranate friend.
今日は思いっきり遊びたい。
Hello.
おじさんと一緒に遊びたい。
Xerix, hi, welcome. It's been a bit. How are you doing?
好きなだけ遊ぼう。な。
We're getting through the third Yakuza. I had a little bit of confusion about this, like what we went through Yakuza 0 to Yakuza Kiwami 2, but I caught myself back up to date again, so we're good. So, let's go see Uncle Kazuki and Uncle Yuya. Right. They deserve a farewell after all they've done for us. Alright, Stardust is just down the street.
Ah, yeah.
Some Yakuza from Osaka were trying to take over Kamurocho and turn into a full-scale war. You're both wrong. They're trying to keep it under wraps, but it was actually a terrorist attack by an organized crime group from overseas. Serious? This is bigger than I thought. Alrighty. Oh my god, look at her. She's holding our hands. Yeah! Look at her. Hand holding, chat. Look at that. Hand holding. There we go. You're not doing so good, but you're hanging in there. Hey, so long as you're hanging in there, you're welcome to kick back, relax, try not to think of too many worries. You just need to lean back. Just need to enjoy the time here. Happy thoughts. Thank you for the hyper himbo. I very much appreciate it, Benru. Hi. Zeebs getting excited over simple affection is heartwarming. I don't get too much of the simple affection, though. I'm in my 30s. I'm overweight. I get giddy, like, seeing the high school drama nonsense from Kaguya-sama Love is War. I love the slow burn romances that go off, don't get me wrong either. I don't get a lot of that in real life, so it's just a fun little thingy-majiggy here. But yeah, oh, Xerix, check the pinned message. Is there any video games that you think should go into like a quote-unquote gamer canon? The forum will explain further. Skip this cutscene? No, we need to go talk to this man on a crate. Hello. So, what's with the getup? Oh, just getting my clean on. Those Go Ryu punks tore the place up real bad. Everyone's really been pitching in, though. So they're doing all the work while you smoke? What? You get it all wrong, Haruka-chan. I was just taking a little breather. By the way, how are you feeling? What, me? Better than ever, man. It'll take more than a few punches to put a dent in all Yuya. Ugh, it hurts to laugh. If that's better than ever, I don't want to see what you hurt looks like. Oh, how's Kazuki doing? Still over at the dock. Sounds like it's still going to be a while till he can come home, but he's doing good. Glad to hear it. By the way, Yuya, we're actually here to say goodbye. Huh? What do you mean, goodbye? I'm moving to Okinawa. I'm gonna be taking over an orphanage down there. And you're going too, Haruka? Mm-hmm. The place actually has pretty close ties to Sunflower, too. After what Haruka and I have been through, I think he'll feel good looking after some kids myself. Well, that's upright charitable of you, man, but I gotta say, it's gonna be lonely around here without you. It's not like we're gonna be that far. We can still see each other, you know? You could even come visit us sometime. You know, that ain't such a bad idea. I'll ask Kazuki-san about taking the team down there for our next vacation. Sounds like a plan. Speaking of, I'm actually thinking to go see Kazuki now. Oh yeah? Sure, he'll be happy to see you. Hope so. Anyway, Yuya, take care of this place while Kazuki's out of commission, okay? I'll do what I can. Well, Kiryu-san, I guess this is it. Good luck down there. Oh, and you too, Haruka-chan. Bye, Uncle Yuya. Alright, what do you want? Can I help you? Is it true, Kazuki, the owner of Stardust was shot? I heard he's in a hospital. Can't even eat. I've been so worried. It's just a rumor. They canceled construction of Kamurocho Hills. Yep, so that was because of us as well. Oh my god, look at the speed of all this. You get hurt again? You sure know how to keep the doc busy. No, I'm just visiting someone today. Oh, the young man from the host club? He was hurt pretty badly from what I hear. And again, so were you. And just look at you now. You've never known you once had a brush with death. Just what are you made of? I'd all up to the dock. Here they are. The Imoto Medical Clinic.
Oji-san?
This is where Uncle Kazuki is? Yep. Something up? Well, I was just thinking. Can we have some fun after we see him? Of course. Just a sec there, buddy. Can I help you? This town's no place to be bringing a little girl, old man. You get lost on your way to the fun fair? None of your business. Now back off, or I'll make you back off. Oh, I'm so scared. Dude, what's with this asshole? Guy's pissing me off. Sure, pal. We'll back off if you hand over some cash. I mean, that girl of yours gets an allowance, yeah? How about sharing the wealth? Sorry, not happening. Just fork it over, man. You don't want to get your ass beat in front of your kid, do ya? You even listening, you old punk? Look, if you get lost now, I'll forget this ever happened. But if you stick around, you're gonna pay. Promise. You think you can take us, asshole? You're the only one who's gonna be paying today, man. Either in cash or in blood. Your choice. I'll get you some blood if you want. But it's not gonna be mine if you catch me. Ha! Good one. You're gonna regret this. We'll see about that. Let's go. Here we go. Street thugs. Press X repeatedly to execute the most basic type of combo, the rush combo. Thank you. Nice. Press B near an enemy to grab them. While holding them, press B to throw. Nice. Hi there, Hawaiian Pizza. Welcome to the stream. I'm just getting through the tutorial level of Yakuza 3. There we go. Oh, the heat gauge goes down if I'm not engaging. That's not fun. Nice. Nice. Got him. Nice. This concludes. Now show those thugs what's what. Got him. Rewind time and redo the fight? No. Why would I rewind time and redo the fight lesson? That's not important. Well, had enough? Shit! I'm sorry, man. We'll get out of your hair. No harm, no foul, yeah? I don't remember saying you could leave. Please don't kick our asses anymore. You really don't know how to talk to your elders, huh? Am I gonna have to beat some manners into you? Wait, no, no more beating. Please, anything but more beating. Just please let us go. Maybe next time you'll remember your place. Yeah, of course. I'm going on the straight and narrow. Promise. Fine. Get out of here. Thank God. I mean, thank God, sir. Come on, boys. Let's leg it. Kids these days. You alright, Haruka? Mm-hmm. Good. Now let's go see Uncle Kazuki. Okay. I hear you're leaving Kamurocho. Yeah, now that everything's settled down, by the bay. How's Kazuki going? He'll be fine soon enough. It's still some time till he'll be out on the streets, but he's progressing nicely. Good to know. Did you drop in on the Tojo clan yet? Nope. And I'm not planning to. Daigo and Yaoyu have enough of their plates already rebuilding the organization. Besides, the Tojo don't need me now that Daigo's in charge. I wouldn't be so sure about that. It's all right. I left a letter for Daigo over with Kashiwagi. There's one thing I need, though. What's that? I need to see a certain someone before I leave Kamurocho for good. Majima. You're gonna ask him to look after Daigo, huh? Yep. If we want all the other families to accept Daigo as their leader, we need a big man like Majima to come forward and do it first. Can't you just step in if anyone starts giving him trouble? Why does it have to be Majima? I'm out of the clan, that's why. Besides, what? It's not that long ago that the Tojo wanted me dead. Even now, I have my fair share of enemies in the clan. Meaning the Mad Dog's your only option. That's right. None of the patriarchs would dare mess with Majima. But if Daigo can show he's got him on the leash, the other families will have to follow suit. I get it. So, you're gonna go see him now? Oh, fishing once again. Yeah, mind if I leave Haruka here while I'm out? What? The girl? Of course. No problem at all. Thanks. Alrighty. Kiryu. Hey, Kazuki. How are you feeling? Ah, Kiryu-san. Did you come all the way here just to see me? Doc says it'll still be a while until I could go home, but I'm on the mend at least. Right. You're looking pretty healthy. Thanks. Means a lot coming from you. Uncle Kazuki, we're actually here to say goodbye. Goodbye? Are you two going somewhere, Kiryu? Yep. The Go-Ryo and the Jingweon have been dealt with, and Daigo's come around to being the next chairman. My job here is done. We're moving to Okinawa. Okinawa, huh? That's pretty far. Yeah, that's kind of the point. Haruka and I are going to be running an orphanage down there. Wow. Can't say we won't miss you, Kiryu-san, but I'm sure you'll be great. Yuya said pretty much the same thing. Oh, he also said you'd come visit us. We have been looking for places to take the boys for some team building. Can't think of a better place than Okinawa. Sleepy time for you, Sky? Not to worry, Sky. Thank you for coming in as early on. Thank you for your submissions to games that should be part of, like, the gamer canon. I very much appreciate it. I hope you have a wonderful rest.
Night Sky Gem paid me to say night night Zeeb Zeeb.
Night night. Don't worry, Haruka-chan. We'll visit you soon. Kiryu-san, thank you for everything. I owe you my life. Don't be ridiculous. If it wasn't for me and the Tojo clan, you'd never would have ended up like this in the first place. I hope you can forgive me. Yeah. Don't be like that. I can't imagine a Kamurocho without you. This town owes you and Kazuma-san more than you realize. So, please, there's no need to apologize. If you say so. Thanks again, Kazuki. Of course. And take care of yourself. I will. Feel better soon, Uncle Kazuki. Thanks, Haruka. Be good down in Okinawa, okay? I don't want to hear about you getting in any trouble. Okay. Bye. Alright, we are going. Wait. Yep, I need to talk to Majima before we leave. But I need you to be a big girl and stay here. Majima and I have some adult things to discuss. Maybe a little time won't hurt. Alrighty, let's go to the arcade. Yum. Oh, they changed the thingy into a gelato. That's weird. And then... What is she saying? Oh, she, like... Okay, so there isn't actually anything to do. So I'm gonna need to go back and give him Haruka for a bit. Out of the way! Out of the way! Oh my god, this is such a weird sort of crowd. Alright. Dunk. Yep. I need you to be a big girl. Sorry, it has to be now. Alright, scene transition. Here we go. Meet up with... Oh my god, it's nighttime already? Alright. Yep, it's practically nighttime. He should be over at the construction site, if I'm lucky. Has really picked up since the Old Alliance pulled out. I should be able to pay my debts now. That's good to hear. The whole mess taught us a lot. We now know that we have to fight to protect our homes and businesses. We're gonna bring Kamurocho back to the way it used to be. Just you wait. Well, look who it is. Oh, you're the brats from before. What now? You think you're hot shit, huh? This is the guy, senpai? Oh, so you're the one who beat up my tender little friend here, huh? You're in trouble now, old man. Our senpai here's in the Kazuma family. Yeah, that's right. The guy who owns this damn town. Well, you shitting yourself yet? Look at this bitch. He's so scared he can't even talk. What's wrong? Cat got your tongue? Way I hear it, you were acting real tough towards my pals here not too long ago. Well, guess what? I'm here to even the odds. You catch me? Well, look, man, I got a Kazuma family pin right here. They don't go handing these out on the streets, you know. I'm a big man. Now, if you don't want to meet my big fists, I might be able to find it in my heart to forgive you. For a price? Shit you laughing at? A Kazuma family pin, huh? Funny. Back in my day, nobody dare brag about their loyalty without knowing who they were up against. That's how you get yourself killed, kid. Oh yeah? Look, just do yourself a favor and run along now. I'm not interested in wasting my time with scum like you. You think you can boss Kazuma's family boy around? We're gonna bash your fucking brains in. Time for fight. Hold to guard yourself. However, this does not work against attacks from the rear. Cool, more tutorials. Hold to assume if it is. Alrighty. Nice. Oh, okay, so it has to be like multiple times. Did it. We're not doing this tutorial again. What happened? I thought you were gonna teach me a lesson. Shit, he's so strong. What in high hell's going on here? Someone causing trouble on our turf? Anaki, help! This guy's gonna fucking wreck us. Looks like he already did, Hiroshi. You start shit with you? Yeah, he's got beef with the Kazuma family or something. Hold your horses there. You're the one who started this, not me.
Hey.
Shut up, you old bitch. Oh, well, if it ain't the fourth chairman. How have you been? Huh? Don't huh me. Go on and introduce yourselves, idiot. This man's Kazuma Kiryu, Tojo Clan's fourth chairman. Huh? But, him? What? It's an honor to meet you, sir. You there, you're Kazuma family too? Yes, sir. The name's Anaki, but you can call me Anaki. I think I'll just stick to Anaki. Anyway, do you know where I can find Majima? That's a good question. Since he left the Tojo clan to start Majima construction, it's been impossible to know where he might pop up. Though now that I think about it, he was actually scheduled for a meeting with the boss today. You might catch him over at the Kazuma family office if you're lucky. Thanks. I'll go take a look. Oh, and fourth chairman? Yeah? My boys didn't offend you, did they? That's how dumb they look. Nah. It was nothing. They could just use a little more education is all. That's so. I'll have to beat some manners into them then. Don't worry. I already did. Just keep an eye on them. Make sure they take the lesson they learned today at heart. I'll do that, sir. Thank you, sir. Well, I should get going. Goodbye, fourth chairman! After earning a certain amount of experience, you can go to the upgrade stream. Cool. Nice. Awesome. Oh, hey, construction. Kiryu-san! It's Nishida, right? What are you up to? Oh, well, the boss had some business with Kashiwagi-san, so I came over with him, but once we got there, he told me to just go home. The problem is, if I really do up and leave, I'll totally get chewed out later, so I'm sticking around for now. Huh? I was actually heading over to see Majima myself. Is he still ill with Kashiwagi? Doubt it. The boss thinks meetings are the most boring shit in the world, so I doubt it lasted longer than half an hour. Where is he now? On the roof, most likely, looking down on the city. He may not look it, but he's actually a big softie. I'm sure he's torn up about you leaving Kamurocho. And, hey, don't tell the boss I said he's soft. Think I'd end up losing an eye myself if he found out. I won't. Take care of yourself, Nishida. Same goes for you, Kiryu-san. Oh, before you go, the boss has been kind of catty lately. You might want to be careful. Who knows what'll set him off. You know what? Here, you should take this. Better safe than sorry, I always say. I got a Staminan X. And another one. Cool. Awesome. Do-do-do-do. Boo-doo-boo-doo-boom. Alright, let's go... Oh, we need to go down. Okay. What is the fucking point of that ground floor if we have to go down a floor to get to the elevators? Like, who decided that? Why do you design the tower like this in game? Why do you force us to go down a level and then back up? Sup, Majima?
Sorosoro, Kamurochoから消えるんか、桐生ちゃん。
ああ、だからあんたを探していた。
あ？どういうことや？
俺はな、兄さん。あんたに大悟を支えてほしいと思ってる。
What are you getting at, Kiryu-chan? I think I was pretty clear. You can't seriously want me going back to the Tojo. I do. Well, too bad. Ain't much point in it now. Clan's just not the barrel of monkeys it used to be. Well, Majima-san, Daigo's taking over as 6th chairman, but he could end up in some trouble without a family of his own. Meaning you want my muscle backing him up. Please. Your family's the only thing that can save the Tojo clan now. Gonna have to pass. Majima-san. Come on, Kiryu-chan. You know what I'm like. Living life caged up like a damn shelter dog ain't my scene, and you know it. But that's exactly what I'm doing. Giving up my freedom to keep my family afloat. But now you come marching up here, asking me to babysit your little protege on top of that? Sorry. Ain't gonna happen.
Benru22 paid me to say remember it's always the small steps we take that help the bigger picture. Always remember you're worth more than you give yourself credit for.
That is really true, Benru. Thank you so much. Why are you saying this now, though? Was someone feeling bad in the chat earlier besides Xerix? Did I miss an important moment? What? Majima-san, you want to be free, right? Yup. But instead, you're feeling trapped, cooped up. Yup. Well then, this is the perfect chance for you to break out. Huh? The flying shit are you talking about? Once Daigo takes over, there'll be no shortage of people for you to fight. You can go wild like you've never gone before. How's that? You can be his enforcer. Anyone even thinks about betraying Daigo, you get full license to put him back in line. You saying what I'm think you're saying, Kiryu-chan? You bet. It's time Kamurocho sees what the Majima family can really do. So I'm not asking you to babysit, Majima-san. I'm asking you to let loose. Because the more ass you kick, the better off the Tojo clan and Daijo will be. I like his outfit. It's kind of fun. Oh! We're fighting! Okay, we're fighting? Okay, we're fighting. Hang on a sec, I need to get changed. Ah!
俺は強いやつが好きや。俺に命令できんのは強いやつだけや。ああ。俺を登場界に戻したかったら、俺に勝ってから命令せえや。やっぱりそうきたか。さあ、始めようか、キリュウちゃん。
ナイス。 You're just uplifting Xera and giving you a nice affirmation. Thank you so much.
せやけど手加減はなしやで。ああ。行くで。
Guard.
来いよ。そこじゃ。
Yeah! Was able to get one in. Oh, when nearing a victory against a powerful opponent, you are able to perform a super finish. If your heat gauge isn't filled, rapidly press the right trigger to enter heat mode. Oh, hang on. Head press. Ah! Woo! I defeated Majima.
やっぱりキリちゃんはごっついの。
Strong as a fucking ox. Did it. Yep. Okay, I gotta put my shirt on. Sorry. There we go. No more topless.
頼んだ。
ただ一つ気がかりなことがある。
なんだ。
もし6代目がおかしな方向に進んでも俺には止めることはできへんで。
どういう意味だ。
The fuck you talking about?
大悟、いや6代目はあんたと同じで人を信じやすいところがある。変な連中に利用されなきゃええんやが。
大丈夫だ。大悟はそんなバカな男じゃない。そろそろ俺は行く。
Thankfully, he's younger than the both of you, so.
頼んだぞ。
えらいこと引き受けてしもうたな。
Hi there, Afronasia!
マジマロロ。一やってるやないか。
You missed out on me, like, taking my shirt off and fighting Goro Majima. I won. New save. Chapter 2. The Ryodo Encounter. Excuse me. Kiryu-chan. Hi, Raven. 6 months later, in the summer of 2007. Kiryu is a little mad. Please don't... That is some really thick onions, but, you know, there's a limitation to the technology.
今真剣なんだ。話しかけるな。
こらダメでしょ太一。痛いよ姉ちゃん。ご飯作ってる時は邪魔しちゃダメって言ったのに。
He's... Oh, that's why he's like, looks like he's crying. So, like, because of the onion. It's a defensive measure. Jesus Christ, you gotta cook so many fucking onions. Nice. Lol, Kiryu gets the biggest bowl as he should. Was she the girl that...
知らない。シロ、あんた今日学校から一緒に帰ってこなかった？うん。帰ってきたけど。
ん？どうしたシロ？知らないのか？
知らない。
どこ行っちゃったんだろう。
いいじゃん、先に食べちゃおうよ。そうだよ、別に大丈夫だって。
おじさん、どうする？
よし、探してこよう。お前たちは食べてていいぞ。
はーい、いただきます。
Alrighty. Where do you think Izumi-chan went? Hard to say for sure. I'll go take a look around outside. You check in the house, Haruki. Alright. You now have access to a hideout. It's an orphanage, it's not a hideout. Here, you can save your game, move items to the item box, reminisce on past events, and view your playstats. Furthermore, your health will recover while at a hideout. Cool. Alright, so let's go outside. Oh, is there something on the... Yeah, there is. Hello. Yep. I got a worm. Yes, it's an orphanage, yeah, right? It's not like the Sunshine Orphanage, but we're in Okinawa. We're really close to the beach. Look at this place. Beautiful, isn't it? Kiryu has a cool shirt. You play too much Skyrim, you've associated orphanages with pile drivers? The fuck you talking about? Okay, so they're not down the thingy-madiggies. Well, if it isn't Kiryu-san. Need something, dearie? Izumi's supposed to be home for dinner, but I can't seem to find her. Have you seen her? Oh, I'm pretty sure I saw her walking down on the beach. She was looking kinda glum, now that I think about it. Alright, thanks. I'll go take a look. Usually not reading for long when I get the door. Oh, hang on. There's another thingy-majiggy on the beach. Hang on. Fishing Champ magazine. Thank you very much. Alright, cool. So we know where the girl is. Let me just quickly look around. Okay, we can't go any further that way. There doesn't seem to be anything in the grass. Be back soon, dinner time. Not to worry, Jason. Thank you for stopping in. I greatly appreciate it. Looks like something washed ashore. Take the wooden box. I shall take the wooden box. There's a prawn in the box. You got a prawn. Oh, we can't pick up the thingy? Okay, we can't pick up the thingy. What's wrong, Izumi? You're usually the first one at the dinner table. I don't want to eat right now. What? Are you feeling okay? Something's definitely bothering her. Something happened at school? Come on, Izumi. You can tell me. Hey, Uncle Kaz. What's up? Is not having parents a bad thing? Oof. Oof. The other kids at school were making fun of me because I don't have a mom and dad. How'd that even get brought up? Well, bring your parents to school day is pretty soon, so everyone started asking what I was gonna do. Uh-huh. They said my parents can't come because they're dead. Oh my... Kids are such little shits, honestly. What the fuck? Like, that's a very matter-of-factly way to speak to a child about their dead parents, but that's not excusable. Even autistic me knows you don't just you can't just be like, oh, too bad your parents can't come because they're dead. Kids are little shits. Jesus Christ. Everyone knows I live here with you, Uncle Kaz. And it's not like I want you to pretend to be my dad or anything, but what? You can tell me. It's really hard. Like, some of the other parents can't come because they're too busy, but nobody makes fun of those kids. Why not? Why can't I have a real family like everyone else? You do have one, Izumi. You do have a family. Huh? Me, Haruka, and everyone else. I don't get it. Listen, families come in all shapes and sizes. Having a real mom and dad isn't what matters here. But what matters is that you're surrounded by people who love you for who you are. But we're not related. Well, there's more to it than that. Related or not, you mean the world to all of us. That alone is enough to make us family. And besides, I don't think your classmates were really making fun of you. They've spent their whole lives with their moms and dads right by their side. They can't imagine it any other way. I'm sure they just don't realize how lonely life as an orphan can be. They don't think I'm weird? That's right. If anything, I'd say you were they were genuinely concerned about you feeling lonely. I was an orphan too. I know just how hard it can be. even so, I'll always think of the man who brought me up as my real dad. And the other kids from my orphanage, they're my siblings. Throughout all my time there, the idea of not having a real family never even crossed my mind. So you see, you have everything you could ever need right here at Morning Glory. Your family's just as real as any of the other kids at school. You don't need to be jealous of them. I'm not. It's just, they say things sometimes, and when they do, you can tell them this. I'm not alone. I have 9 people in my family. 9? Me, Haruka, and the others. That makes 9. We're a family, huh? How sweet.
わかった。私、頑張る。
ああ。
Sounds good.
俺はお前のお父さんにはなれない。でもお前がこの朝顔に来た時から家族だと思っている。
おじさん。泉ちゃん、みんなが待ってるよ。朝顔に戻ろう。ほら、泣かないでもう。
さあ、今日はカレーだ。戻って腹いっぱい食べよう。
Kiryu is sweet. Good for him. Oh hey, they waited for us.
お前ら。
Even the fat kid.
のに食べられないからな。もうお腹ペコペコだよ。いいから早く座れ。
こっちおいで。泉ちゃん、早く早く。
おじさん早く食べようよ。
ああ。よし。それじゃあ。
いただきます。
いただきます。I don't have like a plate of food in front of me or anything like that, so. That was honestly like really sweet. Oh, wood chopping. Excellent work.
またこれが。
I have no clue what that
立
says.
ち退きって書いてあるけど、私たち出ていかないといけないの。
Absolutely fucking not.
最近知らない男の人たちもよく来ているみたいだし、朝顔のみんなも怖がってるんだよ。
ちょっと様子を見てくれ。
Alrighty.
あ、やべえ、おい、右入った。来る。はい。
Who the fuck are those guys? We don't have to leave, do we? Not if I can help it. I'm not about to let those guys kick us out of our home. They must be Ryodo family boys. That's who's been sending us those letters. One way or another, it's gonna have to stop. I can't have them keep scaring you guys. Maybe I should pay this Ryodo family a little visit. Don't worry, Haruka. I'm not planning on getting into any fights, even if they are Yakuza. I will. Be back tonight. Grown men hanging around the orphanage. We suspect. It's a wee bit suspicious. Wee bit suspicious. Sup, old lady? The monorail's the best way to get to downtown Ryukyu, you know? And if you have a pass, the trip's totally free. You've got one, don't you? Then be sure you take advantage of it. Gonna get your money's worth after all. Alrighty then. Can we... No, we can't go down that way. Oh, some big shot Yakuza boys from the Ryoto family came by and said they were going to boot me off my land or else they'll put a boot up my ass. Did they come threatening you too? Yeah, so they're Ryoto family. Wife and I have been calling this little speck of earth home for decades now. No way am I gonna simply roll over and let them take that away from me. I imagine you have similar concerns with your kids and all. Yep. I'm gonna talk to them, see if there's any way we can forget about this whole thing. Alrighty. Yep. Heading downtown. Try the arcade or the public markets. Would you like to go there? Yep. We're heading downtown. Downtown. We're heading downtown. Downtown. Ryoto family has got to be somewhere around here. Guess I should start by looking for those guys from before. Pretty sure they were driving a little blue truck. Alrighty then. Starving. Let's get a steak at San Luis. Let's get ice cream. Nope, never mind all that shit. Meow. Oh, there's the blue vehicle. I see it. Mitsukushi. I still don't know what that says.
Yo, チンピラ。
さっきの。なんだ?
Did you just throw away your fucking popsicle on the ground? Wasteful. Absolutely fucking wasteful. You don't just throw away the popsicle. There were so many licks to go. Wasteful.
ちゃんと賃貸料払っている堅気にいきなりこんなもんちらつかせて。
Fuck the eviction notice. They wasted ice cream.
堅気だと笑わせんな。背中にあんなもん背負ってる堅気がどこにいるってんだ。
とにかく子供たちが怖がってるんだ。もう二度と顔見せるんじゃねえ。
俺らはな、内地からシャシャリ出てきたやつが大嫌いなんだよ。
Jesus Christ.
とっとと沖縄から出ていけ。
Not happening.
それが立ち退きの理由か。
さあな、どうしても知りてえなら直接親父に聞くんだな。
Alright.
ちょっと待て。どこへ行く気だ？
流動一家の事務所。お前らの親父とやらに会いに行く。
兄貴、今すぐ組に連絡を。わざわざ組に連絡入れるようなことするんじゃねえ。俺らの仕事はあんたの監視だ。だが、好き勝手に事務所に行ってもらうような真似されちゃ困るんだよ。そんなことされたら俺の顔が潰れちまう。
じゃあどうすればいい？
どうしても生きてえってなら、俺を倒してからにしな。
ほう、そんなことでいいのか。
なめた口聞いてんじゃねえぞ、おっさん。てめえ、頭に本当に勝てると思ってんのか？
頭？
そうだ。兄貴は天下の流動一家の若頭、捨て頃のハブこと島袋力也さんだ。それでもやるっていうのか、おっさ
ん。やめとけ。
You don't look too tough.
あ？
お前、自分の顔潰したくないんだろ？
そんなこと言ってやめようとしてんじゃねえよ。腰抜けのおっさん。
沖縄じゃどれだけ有名か知らねえが、 そんな脅しが通るほど世の中甘くねえぜ。
God damn.
持ってろ。どうだ。
なかなか立派な蛇だな。
違うわ、ボケ。
Has no eyes.
蛇じゃねえよ、ハブ。ハブだ、ハブ。捨て頃のハブっつってんだろ。
A viper is a snake.
同じだろ。
違うわ。ハブは沖縄の魂だ。俺は沖縄の心背負ってんだよ。
I'm not gonna take my shirt off for this guy. Fucking wasteful.
そうよ。内地のあんたに本物の沖縄もんの強さを教えてやるぜ。ミキオ、てめえは絶対に手出すな。あ、はい。覚悟はいいな。ああ。行くぜ。
Alright, let's go. You and me? Let's do it. Shimabukuro. Oh, you son of a bitch. Alright, fine. I'm gonna be real with you, Deakus was right. They block a shit ton. Hang on. Ah, okay, that's how I want to play it. Crystal! That's the crystal! Alrighty, there we go. We were able to breach it. Got him! So far, this has been, like, there's not been any glitches or anything like that when I've been going through Kiwami. Hi there, little Incineroar. Welcome to the stream. Well, I may be mainland, and I may be old, but I still hit pretty hard.
約束だ。お前の親父のところに 案内してもらおうか。
はい、わかりました。
Sounds good. Mikio, run on ahead and let the boss know we're coming. You got it, Anaki. I wanted to ask you about that tattoo you have. What about it? You said the viper's the symbol of Okinawa, right? Then why'd you leave its eyes blank? Oh, well, my tattoo guy ended up passing away before he could get all the finishing touches in, so I decided to just leave it at that way. Can't you get someone else to finish the job? I mean, I thought about it and all, but I don't know if some random other artist could do his work justice. Wouldn't really feel right, you know? I guess. And, with how important the Viper is, I gotta have someone who's real in tune with the soul of Okinawa. Haven't found anyone like that since my old guy died, though. Knowing Okinawa has nothing to do with it. The best tattoo artist knows how to best reflect a man's soul, no matter the theme. A master artist should be able to do your Viper justice. Well then, I hope I can find one someday. The world's a big place. I'm sure you'll come across someone sooner or later. Yeah, you might be right. Anyway, we should get moving. The boss will be waiting for us. Fine, you lead. I run faster than him. This is actually relatively annoying. Like, look at this. This is... I'm not even full tilt on the like, joystick right now. And I was able to, like, outpace him. Looks like you're busting a dang gut out there. Just taking him to see the boss. That guy? He's built. Makes you look like a little kid with those little arms of yours. Hi there, Minty Twirl. Welcome. Yes. Yes, I am a Zeebs. Hi. It was good to see you. I remember this name. I remember this name. You were at the, you were at Furdu, weren't you? I'm pretty sure Minty Twirl. That's the... That was your name when we did the Magic the Gathering game, right? We did like a draft. You was indeed at Furdu. Yes. I kicked your ass. Come on, man. Don't be like that. It was just a little joke. Hey, pal. You're not from around here, huh? Nope. I've been on the island for almost a year now. Oh, a convert! How you liking Okinawa, friend? Probably never set foot on the mainland again, huh? Listen, man, we're gonna in a hurry here. Alright. Run along. Oh, and ask if the boss wants to grab a drink tonight, will ya? Sure. See you later. Sorry about that. It's this way. My ass was indeed kicked. It's just unfortunate, because I went with two color. I went with green-white. So I kept myself to a duo color with the Selesnya duo, and that one is just simply, you know, buff things up when I can and maybe pull off an equipment, pull off a saddle move, because we were doing the Outlaws of Thunder Junction. You, however, you went with three colors, didn't you? You went with red, and I think you dipped into black, I think it was? You greeted. Yeah, you greeted. I'm kind of in a hurry here.
Go suck a lemon.
You go suck a lemon, Furry Cures. I'm having a wonderful conversation with Minty Twirl. Red, black, and white. Ah, okay. Spends all his time sitting on his tush. Gosh, that's so funny. Bonk. You and Miki-chan spend more time lounging around, getting fat than doing actual work. Come on, not in front of the guests. And what a guest he is. If only I were 20 years younger. And what a couple inches taller. Is that shit all you old ladies think about? Seriously, you're embarrassing me. Anyways, we really gotta get going. One sec, Riki-chan. I just gotta get some nice bitter melon in, so I'll whip you a big old batch of Goya Champlu for you boys. Maybe I can bring it round the office later? I can't hang with that bitter shit. You know that. Anyway, no time to be standing around. We gotta go. Try bringing that can-do attitude to your work, too. Also, by the by, Minty, I've not yet opened up the rest of the cards. I still have the stack of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I still have the like the pack of 10 like in my hands. I've not yet cracked them open. I've not yet done like a stream cuz like one of the things like my desk setup, I don't have an easy way of being able to swap from, you know, my VTuber setup to a good IRL setup, especially an IRL setup where I might need to present like my my whatsamahoozy, my desk. I would like to have a setup where I can have an overhead cam like, you know, pointed downwards. But yeah, I don't have the stuff for that just yet. I'd have to get like a C clamp or something, like a really good one, and then that way I try and do like a big overhead view. That way, and then with the right camera, I can then just do like a zoom in or something and crop.
Because I don't know what I just said.
I know exactly what I'm talking about. Thank you very much. So yeah, I have dreams, but I can't pursue them right now. I need to save up money again and try not to eat out so often. But I also have to go through like my normal streaming. Seems like a good idea. Thank you. The one thing, like if I had fuck you money, Opera GX, hang on a second. If I had fuck you money, I'm not gonna wear a headband with the USB on it. That would be weird. I'd just get a GoPro at that point. The Logitech Reach. If I had fuck you money, I would get this. Because normally when you get, like, for example, normally when you go for, like, mounts and such like that. So say, for example, desk mount camera. So normally it's like, you know, the Elgato stuff here, or you go for this thing here. Like, see how a lot of them, it's the same sort of thing? You're, like, moving a hinge and what have you. So it's not like a really good sort of method of being able to like adjust that. It sort of wants you to just adjust it once and like, you know, point in whichever direction. So yeah, or you go for like these weird ones, like it's all like angles and things. But yeah, this thing, I am so annoyed because I didn't think I wanted this kind of a mount, and Logitech just goes, "Oh, here's the thing with a camera and everything." Like, look at this. Like, this is the mount they have, where it just goes like, it's like a crane. I love that. I think that is, like, probably that's dumb. Don't use it for that. I like that it's in a crane fashion. So, it's like, one-handed experience, and then proceeds to screw it in. It's like, but yeah, like, see, like, that's the thing that I like, is that it's not doing like crazy angle things like what you would have like with the like what you normally have as a microphone holder and such, and then it has that little dial for the focus, which I think is even more impressive, because let's be real, like, autofocus in a webcam is normally terrible, but if you can zoom, never mind, not focus. But yeah, like, it's just this shit. I don't like that it does that. I don't like the rotation bit. I do, however, love the idea that it just, like, you know, seamlessly goes, like, one side to another. It's not like a, I don't know, it's not a weird sort of rotation thing. It's a, like, but here's the thing. I have not seen this kind of mount. I have not seen, like, how do you explain this mount? It's like horizontal and vertical movements with yeah, like, how do I explain that? How do I explain that that's the kind of mount that I want? So, plug and play with popular, yep, no. So you can go with a base or a clamp, ball joint, like, I don't care about the camera headset. I care about the, what do you call that? Like, hang on, crane. Maybe it's a crane? Desk mount? No, it's not that. Jesus Christ, that one's a crazy one. Desk mount horizontal? Like, yeah, nothing. Everyone's just like boom arm. Ooh, let's try boom arm. Boom arm mount. Yeah, so everything here is a boom arm, but I need one that's like, you know, just axis. Let's see. So yeah, so God damn it, like darn. It's just retort stand? Retort stand. That's a maybe? It's a bit of a weirdy one. Funnel it's close. It's not the craziest thing. Crane. Let's just see what happens when I type in crane. Because it's like... Oh, lift mount. Hang on a second. Lift mount. Nah, it's the same sort of... Oh my god, this thing. Screens up to 49 inches. 20 kilos. Nice. Bike mount. But yeah, it's a... I don't know how else to describe... Yeah, I don't know how else I would describe that. Jib could also work, but there's a wee bit... Jib? Mount? My god, these things are crazy. I guess the issue is that, like, I could possibly... Like, I could just get, like, a thing that's, like, you know, the Elgato... Like, I can just get, like, a really tall Elgato arm or something like that, and then just go for a normal clamp thing, so then that way I can do the rotate... Like, I can do, like, the, you know, rotating on the axis or something like that, so it's all just that, rather than, you know, these whole, like, hinges and... Oh! Axis! Yep. Axis mount. Also, where's this... Is there a sound going off somewhere? I don't see it. No, okay. Not that. So, yeah, because, like, everyone's, like, all this ball-bearing nonsense. That almost does it. Like, what would you call that little section there? What would that section be called? Four-leg section. Central column can be central axis horizontal. Let's try that. Oh. Have I accidentally found it? Let's see. Tripod, horizontal, center column. Maybe? Ah, but then it, like, wants a counterweight. It doesn't want to... What exactly are we looking for? Oh, hi there, Sage. So, so this thing here. So, see how, like, it's not like a normal, like, arm that you get from, like, Elgato and what have you. It's instead, like, this thing here, where it's very explicit, like, X, Y, and Z rotations. So, like, it only... So, like, Z up and down, and then it does, like, X in and out, and then it does a rotation along the Z. That's... So, yeah, so yeah. So this it's something similar to this. Unless, hang on a second. Will this thing, yep, so, okay, so it has smooth movements. So yeah, and because it's overhead, I can just like unclasp and then do the voom voom. Adjustable central axis. Press to release it, disengage mounting platforms. Like, this might be it. I guess the only concern is that, like, I don't want it to accidentally go, like, clunk. Like, it, you know, does this, like... I don't want it doing a rotation, like, at the center point, here. I only want, like, the central axis, I only want it being able to go, like, voom, voom. So... But yeah, see it, like... This might be it. This might be, like, the closest thingy-madiggies. So, because, yeah, I don't want... So... Oh my god, a monopod. And then... Tripod boom. 25 to 62 centimeter. So... So, yeah, bubble level. 3-inch screw. A stop tab to prevent the heads from falling. So there's another screw on the thingy-madiggies. 2 mounting platforms can be adjusted from left to right for easy smooth. This, and then, okay, so then there, so yeah, it mentions that, but really I want this rotation thing here. So, okay, so, as I said, camera stuck in headband works well too, and it's great for your posture. Yeah. That means having a webcam on my head. Alright, pin that tab. Hang on, so head mount cam. Oop. Head mount cam. So there's the cheap one there. And it would want my phone to be, I don't want more like webcam shit, and I feel like I'm Amazon basic head strap for GoPro. How expensive is a GoPro? Like one that I can send a signal to. Let's have a look. So, hang on. Say GoPro stream to PC. Connect your GoPro via USB-C, okay, so that's for the Restream blog. How do I connect? So that's LiveWire. How to live stream from your GoPro. Alrighty then, GoPro community. Tell me if this is your main article or... Okay, so, share your stories live, hence... other platforms using an RTMP thing. You can use live streams with a GoPro 7 Black and newer. So you can either do live stream, view media, or auto upload. That doesn't say. Help topics. Hang on. Search. Camera. Stream. I still want to say stream, like just a wireless like thing. How to stream from your GoPro? All right, camera. So, GoPro wireless. Welcome to Open GoPro. Connectivity. How to live stream. There seems to be an issue connecting to your GoPro. How to pair your camera. Wireless connections connected. Oh, that's for quick mobile. GoPro wireless PC. Charge and stream at the same time? Possibly. Can you connect a GoPro to a computer wirelessly? Use GoPro over Wi-Fi. Which also enable access camera via Bluetooth. How to connect your GoPro to your PC. Manually connect it. Use the auto load. Yep, cool. Use an SD card reader. Connect your laptop to the GoPro's Wi-Fi. Ew. Is recommended product they're gonna say here are the steps for connecting to using the quick app. Okay, so GoPro quick app. Let's search. This one's gonna cost money, isn't it? Start creating on a Mac, tablet, or mobile. Import shots from your GoPro or any other camera. Turn your footage into grabbable editing. Watch and share automatic highlights. Take control with powerful yet simple editing tools. I just need it to stream from the camera to the HMTP. Alright, I'm getting distracted. I need to get back into the game. Also see if there's any upgrades. Increase the maximum limit of your health. Yep. Escape from a faster by enhancing your strength. Swiftly return to your fleet. Alright, let's get our tech in the way. Counter while downed. There we go. No. Alright. Email, profile, substories, completion. God damn, this text is terrible. Alright. Following this guy. But yeah, sorry we went on a huge, like, tangent there. But yeah, like, if I wanted to do, like, above the desk kind of things, I think I'd want to do that. I don't want to do head cam because of the whole... Because here's the thing, is, like, I want to be able to look up at my, like, computer screens and what have you. I don't want to have to, like, cover the camera or something like that if I look at my screens and such. Well, this is the Ryoto family office. Come on in. These are looking worse and worse. Okay, so we went from Yakuza 0 to Kiwami 1 to Kiwami 2. Now we're at Yakuza 3 Remastered. So now we're actually at the quality... So this is now quality of Yakuza as they were coming out. These are no longer remakes or prequels. You haven't poked too much with GoPros. You don't like the fisheye effect. Yeah, I don't want the fisheye effect either. That's why the Logitech Reach just seems like such a good idea. And I guess my only issue is that I'm just a mess at my desk. I just don't do a good job cleaning up the mess at my desk. Hello.
Oh, 待たせたな、客人。
You can keep your whole house tidy, not your desks. I can't keep anything tidy. Oh, I got a house inspection in 2 weeks. Actually, no, I got a house inspection in 10 days, don't I? Hang on a second, hang on a second. Why are you so insistent? Oh wait, no, that's voiced. I have a house inspection in... Yeah, I got a house inspection in like 10 days. Normally they're meant to give me 2 weeks notice. Due to time restraints and schedules, it's difficult to rearrange and ask that you please accommodate the... You're welcome to attend the inspection, but it is not necessary. Please note, access to all rooms is required, so please ensure that no one is sleeping or showering during the inspection. If there's any maintenance that requires our attention, please reply to this email with the details so that we can investigate further during our visit to the property. Alternatively, if the matter requires immediate attention, please let us know. If you have a dog, please... I don't have a dog. If the property has an alarm, I don't have an extra alarm. Please ensure the property is clean and being maintained as per the lease agreement. Photos will be taken and a report sent to the owner. A cleaning checklist has been attached for your convenience. In general, sweep and mop non-carpeted floors. Vacuum the carpets. Clean marks off walls, ceilings, and light switches. Wipe over the skirt boards. Remove all cobwebs. Clean the ceiling fans and aircon filters to remove dust. Pick up dirty clothes. We don't need to see it or step over it. Make the beds. Yep, cool. Kitchen, clean oven cooktops. Wipe over benches. Wash dirty dishes. Clean the toilets. Remove built-up soap, scum, and mold. Wipe over vanities, tapware, and mirrors. Sweep out and remove cobwebs. Mow the... I am not responsible for a garden. Should you have any Yep, cool. Nice. Is that bad? Normally, they have to give you 2 weeks notice. Normally, if they need to go into your property, real estate agents are meant to be giving you 14 days notice. I think it's like 10 business days notice. You have a daughter? But, you know. Not my blood. I took her in. Oh, maybe 3 years ago now. Huh. Now, about those eviction notices. I'm listening. I'm real sorry to be doing this to you, but I don't have a ton of choices in the matter. And why is that? Well, the family's owed the land you're sitting on for decades now. We built the houses over there ourselves and have been subletting ever since. But now a potential buyer comes knocking and we're not planning on turning them down. Someone wants the land? Yep. Sounds like it's gonna be the site of some fancy schmancy new resort. What? You hadn't heard? This is my first time, yeah. Well, the word is, they're gonna plop a big resort on the land your little neighborhood's on. Either that or use it for a brand new American military base. It's been all over the news. So that's why you're trying to evict us. Yep. I've got to admit, my feelings are kind of mixed on the whole shebang. Being Okinawa born and raised and all, but who am I to stand in the way of progress? So, what do you say? Think of it as a favor. Me and the rest of Ryoto family really owe you one. Look, Rikia told me about the orphanage. Trust me, I know from Saki how hard raising kids that age can be. But you mainlanders are practically made of money, right? Can't you just take your kids somewhere else? And if you really need some extra cash, we might be able to spot you a little something. Well, not a bad deal, huh?
理由は分かった。
そうか。それじゃあ。
断る。
ああ？なんだと？
あんたの言い分は通っている。だがな、所詮それは極道の勝手な都合ってやつだ。
何？
俺も昔は極道だった。他人の生活に土足で踏み込んでは何かと理由をつけて。
Hello! Hi there, Jack. I don't know why my hand isn't doing a proper... Hi there, Jack. Welcome to the stream. I think it's because I'm trying to do it like this. Hi, welcome, Jack. You have escaped work. Welcome. I'm going through Yakuza 3!
そんな俺たちの事情で振り回された子供はどうなるんだ。俺はな、ここで施設をやっているうちは、あいつらをそういう目に遭わせたくね。
We're standing up for an orphanage.
話は終わりだ。
And Kiryu is like a really great, like, uncle.
おいこら、ちょっと待て。
Fuck you want. Also, I need to figure out when the 17th is, because I think it's a Friday.
沖縄で生まれて60年。内地から来たガキに説教されるほど追い惚れちゃいねえ。
Oh. That's dramatic.
あんた、本当にそれでいいと思っているのか？
ああ？
今俺をここで殺して、子供たちを追い出して、あんた、それで満足なのか？沖縄のことを愛しているなら、俺たちを立ち退かせることよりも、もっと他に考えることがあるんじゃないのか？あんたが暴力で向かってくるなら構わない。そん時は、こっちも手加減なしにやらせてもらうぜ。
You got a sword? If you had $1 for every lost umbrella you found on the bus, you'd have 2 umbrellas. Don't steal umbrellas from the bus! What are you doing, Jack? Unless you're like unless you're taking them to like a return thingy, you're not supposed to be taking umbrellas. Oh hey, we got to chapter 3. Nice.
続いてのニュースです。来年度、民自党が衆議院での通過を目指している沖縄米軍基地拡大法案のキーマン、田宮隆三防衛大臣と同時に開発が進められているリゾート開発の責任者、鈴木義信国土交通大臣が今日揃って現地沖縄へ視察に訪れました。
Okay.
日本防衛の鍵とも言われる弾道ミサイル防衛システム、通称新 BMD システムの導入を目指す田宮氏。一方これまで沖縄米軍基地拡大法案に 一貫して反対する立場を取りながら、沖縄の内需拡大のためリゾートの開発を推し進めてきた鈴木氏。意見の異なる両大臣揃っての沖縄訪問に政財界からの注目が集まっています。タミヤ氏の現地到着に先駆け、空港前には基地の拡大に反対する市民が大勢詰めかけ、範囲を示すビラを配るなどする一方、鈴木氏はリゾート開発による内需拡大を支持する地域財界関係者に迎えられ、
this particular politician, he's the one being backed by the Yakuza. Because the Yakuza wouldn't have like, there wouldn't be a benefit to the Yakuza in having a military expansion, but they could definitely strong arm on the resort and try and get some legitimate funds out of the resort, especially if they could try and convert it into being a bit of a casino, like an underground casino.
日本防衛のための犠牲を払わせるわけにはいきません。それを少しでも軽減するためにも内需拡大を見据えてリゾートを開発することで、なんとか地域の振興に貢献していきたいと、そう考えているわけです。
国を守ることは私の責務だ。それ以上言うことはない。
空港到着後、インタビューに応じた鈴木氏とは対照的に、タミヤ氏は足早に車に乗り込み、現地の視察へと向かいました。突然の両大臣の沖縄訪問に、野党からは鈴木氏の沖縄リゾート開発にタミヤ氏が便乗する形で強引に米軍基地拡大法案を進めようとしているのではないかと疑問の声が上がっています。地元の住民の反応はどうなんでしょうか。
基地がまた拡大するのは嫌だけど、リゾートで沖縄が潤うんだったらまあいいのかなって。
お隣の国がミサイルを撃つっつったって沖縄じゃなくて東京とかを狙うわけでしょ。タミヤさんはさ、結局沖縄のことなんか考えてないんだよ。
次期総裁候補として呼び声の高い鈴木タミヤ両氏の沖縄での行動に今後も注目が集まります。
Yeah, the Yakuza probably are supporting the resort guy.
続いてのニュースです。
Because if they're talking about potential of like a prime minister, I'ma be real. Most organized crimes would love to have the head of state in their pocket.
ここの立ち退きの話なのかな。
Yep. This umbrella is like brand new. You should feel ashamed of yourself. You're meant to take from the rich. What rich man is taking the bus? You talked to those guys in the truck, right? How'd it go? They wanted to buy us out, but I turned them down. Somehow I doubt that's the end of it, though. Oh. Uncle Kaz, are we gonna have to leave Okinawa? Don't worry, Haruka. I'm not gonna let that happen. Trust me, everything's gonna be fine. Okay, I believe you. Rich men who want me to see the poor folks suffer. I don't know. They wouldn't go into a bus. All right? Like I know we're kind of getting into the semantics of if a rich person wants to see the poor suffer, how far would they go? I'm in the belief that they wouldn't exactly attend a bus, okay? I reckon they would be exactly like it is in the In-Betweeners, where they just have a car and they just drive past like buses and train stations. You remember that guy in the In-Betweeners like show, and he's just like, bus wankers. The rich man would be something like that. So that's my thought. What's up? Well, it's probably nothing, but Shiro's been kind of down since he got home from school. I wonder why. Did you ask him what's wrong? Yeah, but it didn't seem like he wanted to talk to me. Okay. Thanks for letting me know. Unless it's a private bus, maybe, but even then, why would they even have an umbrella? In case it rains. Shio doesn't see... best way is to ask him directly. Where the fuck is he? Hey there, Shiro. Everything okay? I'm fine. You don't look fine. Everyone else is having fun outside, but you're sitting in here all by yourself. Are you sure you're okay? Just leave me alone. Oh my god, that is a giant fucking... There we go. Look at that. Something happened at school? No. Does this have to do with a girl? Well, you're at that stage that a boy starts... That's not it. Does your stomach hurt? Not really. Doesn't look like he wants to talk. Maybe the other kids would know something. Alright, time to... How am I gonna reach out to these kids? Alright, where's the rest of these kids? No dryer? Okay. It's a case of someone hooking their umbrellas and stuff and forgetting it. I'm taking those. Disrespect. Hey, something's up with Shiro. You two know anything about it? I don't. We barely even see each other most days. What about you, Riona? Same. He's in a way lower grade than me, so our classes are really far apart. Sorry. It's alright. Want me to figure out what's wrong? How are you gonna do that? Easy. I'll just put him in a headlock. That'll get him talking in no time. Hey, that's a good idea. Bet I could take him too. Come on, you two. You should be looking out for Shiro, not trying to beat him up. That's what being an older sibling is all about. I thought you knew better. Never mind, I'll do it. Keep your hands to yourself, Koji. He's gonna make things worse. Oh, something in the ground. Worm. We're taking the worm. Akio. What's up, Undercat? Is this about Shiro? Yeah. Something's definitely up. Do you know if he's having trouble at school? We're not in the same grade. Have you heard anything? We're in different classes. Right. Want me to ask him? Nah, it's okay. If he's gonna open up to anyone, it'd probably be another guy. I'll give it another shot. Oh, would you look at... What are these peeps talking about? My husband said he doesn't care how much money they offer us. He's not going to leave his child at home. Mine too. We don't want to be moving at our age. I couldn't live in some big apartment building where you don't even know your own neighbors. There's nothing wrong with that. He said he's taking the opportunity to move. I guess they have a place in the mainland. Alright, cool. So they had their conversation. Let's talk down at the kids over here. Unless, is there a box? Hello, there's a box. Wooden box. Take it. A rainbow alloy. Nice. I don't know if I'm extremely lucky on that one, but hey, I got a rainbow alloy. That's something. Alrighty, boys. Taichi, Mitsuyo. Not now. Give the games a rest and listen. Alright, what's up? It's about Shiro. Wait, he wasn't in our room? He was, but he won't talk to me. He's just sit there, curled up in the corner. He's been doing that a lot lately. What? Why? He's been getting bullied. How do you know? Found him crying in the boys' room in the school a couple weeks ago. That's when he told you about the bullying? What makes you say that? Oh, that is not on. Doesn't do any sports or nothing, so he wouldn't have gotten them from that. Did you tell a teacher? Bullying always gets worse if you tattle. Besides, I heard enough. I'll talk to the teacher myself. I don't know if that's such a good idea. Moshi Moshi? Hi there. My name is Kiryu from Morning Glory and... The orphanage, right? Right. You must be the guardian for all those poor kids. And who are you exactly? Oh, just one of the teachers here at the school. Perfect. I'm actually calling about one of my kids, Shiro. Can I speak with his teacher? That would be me. That's what seems to be a problem. Well, I have reason to believe he's been getting bullied. Bullied? What evidence do you have of that? Is this some kind of joke? Trust me, I'm not the joking type. Shiro's holed up in his room right now, not talking to anyone. Apparently there's been bruises on his bodies too. I assure you, there is no chance such awful behavior would take place at our school. Bullying takes place in any sort of school. How dare this teacher? What about the other orphans? Who knows what those kids are get up to without parents around to keep them in check? No, I'm not in Hawaii. I'm in Okinawa. Okinawa is like an island in Japan. What did you say? Honestly, I'm sick and tired of all these nervous parents whining to me about their children. Raising them is your responsibility, not mine. Though I suppose your case may be a lost cause. Hashimoto is an absolutely terrible teacher. Goodbye. Well, what was his problem? Don't worry, Taichi. I'm gonna make sure this never happens again. It's okay. I'll get Shiro to talk. Bullying takes place no matter where you are. Exactly. It's less about like, you know, trying to stop it entirely. It's more about being able to combat it when it arises. It's one of those things where, yeah, you kind of need to be able to passively be able to have bullying answered, but it is also reactive as well. Shiro, I want you to tell me what happened. You can trust me, Shiro. Please. All I want is for you to be happy. You and everyone else here. I'm not gonna just stand around and do nothing while you're so clearly in need and help. Come on. Just tell me what's going on. Is someone bullying you? Alright. I'll go have a talk with your school. You can't. Why not? I already spoke to your teacher, but he wasn't a whole lot of help. Shiro? Alrighty. Why doesn't Shiro want me to go to his school? There has to be a reason. Maybe I could just cut out the middleman and talk to this bully's parents directly. Taichi seems to know a lot about what's going on. He might be able to point me in the right direction. Alrighty. Taichi? Don't tell anyone this, but do you think you can find out who's been bullying Shiro for me? Who is it? Some kid named Yoshinori, but what? It's kind of complicated. Yoshinori is the son of Shiro's teacher, Hashimoto. What? Hashimoto would be in big trouble if he admitted his own son was a bully, so I don't know if he'll ever fess up. Well, now I really need to get involved. I'd better check with Shiro again to make sure. How dare that teacher try to push, like, blame away? The audacity. Bullying is one of those units, so yeah, I agree that a reactive approach is essential in acting upon it. Yeah. Alrighty then. Teacher son, I better ask Shiro about this directly. Taichi told me all about what's been going on. Has the teacher's son really been bullying you? Yeah. Why didn't you tell me sooner? Please, Shiro. I need you to talk to me. Yoshinori, he said his dad plays golf with Akasa-sensei from City Council. That he'd get them to shut down Morning Glory if I tattled on him. Guess the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. It's okay, Shiro. Don't cry. Yoshinori only picks on kids when he knows they're not gonna fight back. It's not right. Don't worry. Morning Glory's not going anywhere. I promise. So the next time he tries to mess with you, I want you to stand up for yourself. You hear me? Teach him out. Get him to push back. The very next day, I figured out why Shiro's so down, but that's not enough. I've got to fix this somehow. Oh. Everything okay, Kiryu-san? You look kind of worried. Hi there, Miura. Turns out Shiro's been getting bullied at school. What? Who would go after such a sweet child like Shiro? I'd like to give him a piece of my mind. Well, it's a kid named Yoshinori, but his dad's the real problem. Apparently he's pretty tight with, Akasaka-sensei. Meaning if I don't go about this the right way, they'll get city council to come shut my orphanage down. Really? That doesn't seem like Akasaka-san I know. Wait, you know him? Of course! He's famous round these parts. Well, as famous as a city councilman can be. Anyway, he's definitely the honest type. Not the kind of guy to use his position to settle grudges. Why don't you go talk to him? He loves chatting with his constituents, so I'm sure he'll be willing. Even so, I can't just go marching into City Hall over this. Maybe if there was somewhere else I could run into him. Oh, why don't you try the golf course? Why the golf course? That's where he spends most of his free time. They say he wouldn't be caught dead without his trusty set of clubs. Apparently, he loves it so much he forgets to eat sometimes. But golf balls can't fill an empty stomach, you know? I wonder how he even finds time to work. Second that. Anyways, monorail's the best way there. Just get off at Golf Course Station and you're golden. Thanks a ton, Miriam. Time to find out if those rumors are true. That is honestly hilarious that this was like back in like 2009. They're like, oh yeah, we have a city councilman. He just always golfs. We never know how the fuck he's ever having time to do work. Cause, you know, there would never be, for example, a US president who just takes off like a quarter of their time to go golfing. You can now take a taxi or monorail to the golf course. Alrighty. Where would you like to go? Take me to the golf course.
Nani?
Nani? What is with rich people in golf? That's too real. Wait, hang on. At the supermarket, my brain just short-circuited seeing a Razer-branded shaving razor kit. You are lying. That is not a thing. Pictures. Pics or it's not real. You are lying. There is no way Razer has done a shaving kit. Hopefully I can find him here. Hello? Well, no. So you're a visitor. Do you have a guest pass? My deepest apologies, but this is a highly exclusive club for local businessmen and government officials only. If you don't have an invitation from a current member, I'm going to have to ask you to leave. I'm very sorry, sir. If you'll allow me to intrude. I hear you don't have a guest pass. Yeah, I didn't realize this was a private club. In that case, why don't you join me for a couple of holes? Really? I was actually meant to meet a friend here, but it seems he won't be showing up. I suppose he had some last-minute business to attend to. I'm not too fond of playing by myself, though, so if you wouldn't mind joining me, I'd...
Phantom with the 19-month tier 1 sub.
Hi, Phantom! Thank you so much for the raid and for the resubscribe for the last 19 months. I really appreciate it. I hope you had a wonderful time. There we go. There's the notification. Thank you so much for subscribing for the last 19 months. You don't have to worry about any of those advertisements, and you have an option to all your different, what's-a-mahoozy emotes. Welcome. I'm supposed to be saying welcome. Hopefully you had a wonderful time in Mass Effect Legendary Edition. I remember going through that in, like, my first year of streaming. It was really fun. I hope you're enjoying it, too. If you need to, you know, hop offline, de-stress, shower, go to bed, or any of those kinds of things, you're welcome to do so, okay? Don't worry about it. I'd be glad to have you along. And who are you exactly? Oh, where are my manners? My name is Akasaka. You mean you're from the city council? Ah, I take it you've heard of me. May I ask your name? It's Kiryu. Well then, Kiryu-san, shall we play? Yeah, let's do it. Talk about luck. This is the perfect chance for me to get closer to Akasaka. Okay, so we're playing golf. So change the shot range, displaying the scores, change the directions, move the impact points, switching the camera modes, changing clubs. Okay. Alright. Let's give it a try. Be my guest. I noticed it was 3 in the morning and Mass Effect is your stream game. Yep, thought so. Yep, so you use left or right to adjust. Change clubs by using, like, left and right. Press Y to change the shot range. Okay, so it just does half things, and then you can change the impact of the ball. So he's just gonna go straight at the thingy. Release A to set the shot power. After setting the power, press A just as the cursor is aligned with the ball to deliver the optimal impact. Ooh, boy. You're pretty good. I'm not sure I'd go that far. The wind's just been blowing in my favor today, that's all. Do you golf often? Not really, no. Ah, well, practice makes perfect. Right. Okay, so. So we need to make it 340 yards. 255. So PW, SW, and a putter. Okay. So we need. Oh, that's your hint at radio. Alright, here we go. So. I'm gonna go a little bit to the right, just in case. Take a mulligan? Yes. Yep. There we go. Jesus. Yep. You can retry this shot if you like. Yes. Oh. Yep. Let's try that again. There we go. And nope, still too far. I'm able to have it go. Yep. Because I imagine I can do a hole in one. I can do a hole in one. I can see it happening. Yep, and it weans. Oh. Oh, wait. Mm-hmm. It's a little... Yeah, okay, that's about as... no. Okay, here we go. Oh, that was too hard. Wait, every time I take a... Yep. Eagle. There we go. You sent it on... Sent it to me on Telegram. Ah, okay. I'm gonna need to look for that. There we go. And you got it on par. Good for you. Your form is fantastic. Eh? I don't think so. No need to be modest. You're a natural. Shall we head to the next hole? Sounds good. Alright, next hole. Say, what sort of work do you do? I run an orphanage called Morning Glory. Wow. Taking care of all those kids is quite a task. It's not easy, sure, but nothing makes me happier than seeing them smile. That's wonderful. I'm glad to know you enjoy your work, Kiryu-san, and what vital work it is. Now let's get this hole started. Alright, so 126 yards. That's a good shot. Okay, hang on. Let's go for 100 yards. And yoink. There we go. Fairway. Yep, no. Let's try that again. Oh boy. Oh! Oh! Yes! Boobies! Yes! Did it! Oh my god, Pogs, did you see it? I got a hole in one! Got a hole in one. First try. Yes! Nice try, good sir. You got a birdie. Speaking of the orphanage, Kiryu-san, how many kids do you have there? 9. All in an elementary school. And you take care of them all by yourself? Do you have any helpers? No, but the oldest girl, Haruka, takes on a lot of that responsibility. She'll be starting 6th grade next month. And the chores are divided up between all the kids. Everyone has to help out. How wonderful. Too many kids these days sit around watching TV while their parents do all the work. Now, shall we head to the next hole? Alrighty. As a professional, Kiryu-san, what are your thoughts on the youth of today? Well,
go suck a lemon.
Things were definitely different when I was a kid, but with how drastically the world has changed, I guess that's not too much of a surprise. No, I'm not giving you my leg. I'd say the real problem is that we spoon-fed everything to kids nowadays. There's no room for imagination anymore. Back in my day, we'd come up with games we could play we could all play together when we were bored. And since we had lots of kids of different ages, we had to make rules that were fair to everyone. We didn't want to exclude anyone just because of their age or ability. It was through these playground games that we first learned about cooperation and what it means to help others. These days, though, it's all about video games and the internet. From what I hear, most kids would rather stay in their rooms than go outside to play. Also, I'm like completely off-centered with my thingamadiggies. I want to stay in my room and play video games and, you know, be on the internet with my friends. True. We didn't have any of those luxuries when we were young. Children nowadays certainly have it good, but in a way, I feel sorry for them. Bullying seems to have grown more prevalent as well, I will admit. It's always been present, but incidences appear to be even more malicious recently. Perhaps the children of today lack basic consideration for their fellow students. Looks like it, yeah. Alrighty. What does the map... Freestyle! Sylvester Crystal! There we go, and rough. There we go. Oh, come on. I can get it on the fairway. I just need to be nope, too hard. And let's see. Once again on the rough. go. Let's see how we are. What? God damn it. There we go. Oh, come on. Oh, damn it. Too hard. Are you kidding me? Well, you got a bogey, so. I'll take a birdie. You posted it in the Discord? Thank you, Sage. But yeah, we still play co-op games? Yeah, we still play co-op games. I immediately came back to get called out. What's that for? I'm sorry, Sage. The game does that to you where it's just like, oh, people and their video games and their internet. Lies, I go out and play almost daily in the winter time. That's why I stay inside on my off days. Oh, Discord. Yes, Discord. Check out my Discord. You'll find a channel for memes and your personas and all kinds of stuff. Look at that. Kiryu-san, I have another question about your children if you don't mind. How do they spend their free time? Well, we don't have a computer or any games, so for the most part they all play together outside. All the older kids really look after the younger ones too. It's like we're one big family. That sounds lovely. Would it be alright if I paid you a visit sometime? Of course! I'd be glad to have you. Nice. Still winning. Yeah! Fuck you, City Council! I have this bad habit since my IRC days to just join servers. Okay, so I have recently cleaned up the number of Discord servers I'm in recently. I went from like, I'm still in quite a large number of them, but I used to be in so many more, and I feel like half the reason I was in a lot of Discords is a lot of the times it's like, oh, I know this person's Twitch channel and such, and then I would just only be in there because of the self-promo. I wouldn't actually be doing a lot of communication and such, so I've had to like tone that down. So now I'm like trying to limit myself to only being in Discords where it's like, oh yeah, I'm actually going to communicate with people within there and such. I hope I'll have... Besides, I also need to communicate more in my own Discord. I hope I'll have the chance to stop by your orphanage sometime soon, and I mean that sincerely. We'd love to have you. Perhaps there's even some way the city could support all the charitable work you do for those children. If you ever need anything, please feel free to give me a call. I'll do everything within my power to help you. I appreciate that, Akasaka. Farewell now. See you later. Oh, and before I forget, I signed you up on my permanent guest list, so you'll be free to visit the club whenever you please. Perhaps we'll play again in some time. I hope so. Nice. I should clean mine up. Some of mine are inactive, and some of them because Controversial owned it turned out to be not so great, like 5 years down the line. I don't know if that's one I should be concerned about, Sage. Wait, are you and I in any are we in like a lot of mutual servers? Do I need to worry about a red flag? Hang on a second. Where's Sage? Sage. Where the fuck is Sage? Sage. $57. Jesus Christ, that is a lot of servers. That is so many servers. No, it doesn't look like we're in any other servers. Okay. Alrighty. Resume the game. Akasaka had nothing but nice things to say about Morning Glory. I bet that'll make Shiro feel better. We're heading back to Morning Glory, please. Yeah, 57 servers I think is too much. I'll need to do a count of how many I've got going currently. I do have a category called organization/support, and that one there, like, because there's so many like people that have like programs or websites, and they're like, oh, if you want to get support, join our Discord. And sometimes I'm just like, that's a bit much. I don't get all this talk about building a resort. What's so great about Okinawa? A friend of mine once went over to the mainland and he says that the ocean there is really dirty. Nothing like the sparkling blue of our beaches. Really? But don't people go swimming during the summer? That's because they don't know any better. Nobody who's ever been to Okinawa could stand to swim in that sludge. I guess that's why everyone comes to vacation here. Ah, Akasaka-san. Good to see you again, Kiryu-san. I told you I'd stop by, didn't I? Yeah, I thought I wasn't expecting it to be so soon. Once an idea crosses my mind, I simply have to see it, though, as soon as possible. Taichi, in the house! Yo, Uncle Kaz! Hey, you forgot to say hello to our guest. Take your shoes off before you go inside. Hi, Uncle Kaz. We're home. You two have a good day at school? Mm-hmm. Oh, a guest! Konnichiwa. Konnichiwa. Hello there, kids. Such energetic kids. What the Jesus. That is... Holy shit, that is a lot.
元気な子供ですな。
あれお客さん
ああ、挨拶しろ。
はじめまして、シロです。
ほう、ちゃんと挨拶もしっかりできて気持ちのいい子だ。
おい、あんたが桐生だな。この子供にあんたどういう教育してるんだ。見ろ、喧嘩であざだらけだ。どうしてくれるんだ。あ
あ、橋本さん、お久しぶりですね。
赤坂先生。
This is the teacher who has the son. The son has been bullying our kid, and this pink shirt fucker is gonna try and like push the blame on us, no doubt. What are you doing here? Thankfully, I've been wanting to pay this orphanage a visit for some time now. So of course I didn't waste any time when Kiryu here invited me. I needed to see the children he so clearly loves so much for myself. They'll certainly grow into fine young adults. It is the environment, or perhaps Kiryu's guiding hand. What's your secret? Honestly, I can't take that much credit. They're all really independent. I only step in when absolutely necessary. I see. You should take a page out of his book, Hashimoto. Yes, sir. I agree. Hey, what about Shiro? He thinks he's better than all of us regular kids because he doesn't have any parents. Don't speak to him like that, young man. He didn't choose to be an orphan. None of these kids did. If you were really his friend, you would help him solve his problems, not make them worse. Whatever, you old fart. Well, I never. I feel sorry for that boy's parents. Oh, I'm sure being his teacher is hard enough, Hashimoto-sensei. Well, I should be going. Yeah, get fucked, Hashimaro! I must say, Kiryu-san, it warms my heart to see how happy and healthy you children are. You have the support of the city, I assure you. What's he gonna do? He has loafers on. Everyone knows you can't fight in loafers. They're too easy to slip off. Hi there, Haruka. How was school? Are the others back already? Yep, they got home a while ago. Shiro too? I hope he's okay. Oh, Jesus, your calves. Hi there, Izzy. Welcome to the stream. You just missed out on comeuppance. We played a golf game with a city councilor. I won, neg 1 to +1. He went to the orphanage. He saw the kids. Shiro was once again bullied, but then, you know, but then like Hashimoto, the teacher slash the kid's father of the one that's bullying him, tries to like almost poke the blame on us. You've been watching on your phone? Oh, nice. You've been keeping up to date. Nice. Congrats on getting 13,000 steps today. I have only accomplished, give me a uno momento. I've had to walk around today. I don't think I have a really high goal. I think mine's actually fairly low. 6,007. I've done 6,000 steps. I've not done that much. I've done less than half than you. Hope he's okay. Don't worry, Haruka. Shiro's gonna be just fine. Really? That's a relief. I was so worried when I heard he was getting bullied, but I'm glad everything's gonna be okay. Me too. Well, I better go get dinner started. Be careful with the knives. But yeah, congrats on the 13,000 steps, Izzy. Give it back. I will, just not yet. Sounds like Tachi and Ako are up in arms over something. Ah, yes, time for me to be a parent. I don't have her. Can you wait until I get my allowance? That's not till next week. And the new Ninja Rangers manga come out today. All the kids at school are gonna read it before me. I'm sorry. You better pay me back, liar face. What a terrible insult. Alright. What happened? Why didn't you pay Tachi back? Did you lose the money or accidentally spend it? Come on, this isn't like you. When you borrow something from someone, you have to make sure you give it back. Don't be afraid. You can tell me. Someone stole it. What? One of the other kids? Are you sure? Maybe it just fell out of your pocket. So whoever stole it would have to know it was there. Alright. I'm gonna go get to the bottom of this. Akio, we have to find out what happened. I'll go round up the others. Wait for me in the dining room. Alrighty. We have an investigation. Money has been missing. Alright, let's have a look. We're just gonna do a quick peruse around. Oop, hello? What? Oh, there you are. There's something we need to talk about. Wait for me in the dining room. Alrighty. I was wondering why there was like a little talk thingy-madiggies. You couldn't message because Twitch Mobile hates people, it hates the world. That's an exaggeration, but I get what you're talking about. Alrighty. There's Haruka. Supposed to be getting dinner ready. Looks like dinner's gonna have to wait. Why? Ako's money has gone missing. Sounds like it. One day it was in her wallet, the next it was gone. We're gonna meet in the dining room. I want you there too. It was only 13 because of a giant tree uprooting, taking out the monorail service, and me misremembering my alternative. Ah, okay. Alright, you're heading out. Have a wonderful rest. Not to worry, Minty Twirl. Thank you for joining in. Thank you so much. I had a wonderful time at Furdu. Udu, thank you for joining in on the Magic the Gathering. I was really worried I wasn't going to be able to play, like, the Outlaws of Thunder Junction, so I really appreciate that you were able to do that with us. Thank you so much, Minty. You have a good evening. Okay, so there's no one here. So we gotta head back outside. Plus me scoring the entire city center just to find some goddamn cable options for my Fang. Oh. It's just not a figure 8 cord? Can you two go to the dining room for me? What's wrong? Nothing really. We just need to have a family discussion about something. I'll tell you later. See you girls in the dining room. It's no wonder the store was giving away the free RGB fans. Who the fuck uses Molex pins? Oh, yeah. I remember Molex pins. You're talking about those 4 Molex, I'm gonna be real with you, is such a fucking old one. Like, I think I only time I get Molex connectors is when I buy a brand new power connector, like a brand new PSU. That's the only time. Tai Chi. I know. I heard you two arguing earlier. I am. Go wait in the dining room. All of us are gonna have a talk about what's going on. Looks like someone stole the money. I'm not sure yet. That's why I want to have this meeting. Just wait for me in the dining room. It's wonder the store was good. So yeah. Uh-huh. So there's a fishing rod right there. Oh, another box. Hello. And in the box is a corbicula clam. No idea what a corbicula clam is. Alrighty, kids. You're gonna need a... Koji! What's up? Can you three go and wait for me in the dining room? Isn't it early for dinner? We're gonna have a house meeting. What happened? You'll know soon enough. Just go wait for me, okay? Alrighty. The only time you've used Molex is for thermodynamics, and even then the formula is mole ratios. That went over my head. The last time I used Molex was for a fan, but it wasn't an RPG fan. It was just like a normal fan, and that was like decade ago or more. Alrighty. That's why everyone's on vacation here. Got a burning question asked. This new military base they keep going on about. Yay or nay? I'm against it. I knew we were kindred spirits, Kiryu-san. The people of this island are sick and tired of the military imposing on our land. Besides, plopping more bases down is essentially saying we're preparing for war. And when that war inevitably comes, we'll be trapped in a combat zone with no escape in sight. Not to mention all this outrageous talk about erecting some fancy schmancy resort, as if that will finally make Okinawa prosperous. If you ask me, they're trying to tear down everything we worked for since the Second World War, all for a little pocket change. Pocket change. Hi there, what's up, Pox? Himbo soon? Himbo soon? What do you mean himbo soon? What do you mean? What do you mean? Alright, I think that's everyone. Any new worms to pick up? Nope, no new worms. Alright. Family meeting. Looks to be everyone here. Am I 1, 2, 3, 4? 1, 2. Wait, who's missing? There's meant to be a fourth. There's meant to be a fourth on that side. Where'd they go? Where are they? They didn't give. I can't remember all the names, but I remember there's at least 9 of them, and there's only 8 over at that table. Oop, hello? Ah, here we go. Get on over to the dining room. Akio? Okay. Ayako? That's everyone. Time to tell them what happened. Alrighty. Huh? What's it? Oh, that's if I want to enter that room. Okay, that's probably my own room. Alrighty. Moles are a unit of measurement. X is a common denotion of ratios. Ah, okay. That went over my head. That's pretty much all we know. Ayoko's really worried, and rightfully so. The money got taken away out of her wallet, after all. Now, I don't like doing this any more than you do. But if one of you stole the money, I need you to speak up. Ayako, when did you first notice it was gone? Yeah, sorry, Minty had to go away now. They had, they're heading out, so. I think it was 2 days ago. Alright then. Did any of you notice anything weird going on? Were there any strangers hanging around or anything? I think I saw something. Riona was digging around in Ayoko's bag. Riona? Ayako said I could borrow her paint, so I was getting it out of her bag. You don't think I stole the money, do you, Uncle Kaz? Of course not. Now that I think about it, didn't Mitsuyo just buy a new model set? It's a pretty fancy one, too. Kind of suspicious timing, don't you think? Well, Matsuo, how did you get the money for something like that? I saved up for weeks, that's how. I didn't do anything wrong, Uncle Kaz. I even stopped buying snacks so I could save up quicker. Besides, don't they say the first guy to speak up is usually the one who did it? What was that? You heard me. Stop it, you two. Alright. We're done here. This was clearly a mistake. I reckon she did it. I reckon that girl down in the bottom right did. Somebody stole the money, right? Yeah, he's right. Look, we're not gonna keep sitting here flinging accusations at each other. That's not what being a family is about. But I'll say it again. If one of you did take the money, you come talk to me whenever you want. I won't tell the others. The only thing that accomplished was making everyone doubt each other. Although, we'd be missing a lot more than Aiko's money if the fees had come from the outside. So as much as I hate to admit it, one of the kids must have stole it. I guess the only option now is looking through their things. Oh, I don't... Oh, that's a... I don't know how I feel about looking... Like, that's a... That's a tough... I would have, like, talked to them, like, 2-on-2. I would have done, like, a 2-on-2... Ooh, looks... What were you doing in here, Eri? Nothing? That's Ayoko's bag, right? You know you can't dig around there without her permission. Come on, just tell me what you were doing. Or is there a reason you don't want to say? You're wrong. Okay. What was wrong with Eri? I found her looking through your bag. Is something else missing? The money's back in your wallet. What? Yep, so we were right. It was Eri. Alrighty. Where did she go? There she is. Alrighty. You got some explaining to do. Where? Because you were obviously guilty for having the money. Now, you may not have taken the money, but you knew it wasn't yours. Alright, Eri. It's time you told me what's going on. So it was you? Why'd you promise? I'm glad you were planning to pay her back, but you can't borrow something that's not yours without asking first. That's stealing. But you gave the money back, and now you've confessed, too. That's really brave of you. The next step now is apologizing to Ayako. Think you can do that for me, Eri?
Eri-chan.
さあ、勇気を出せ。
Oh, god damn it. Eri's gonna ugly cry, isn't she? God damn it. She's gonna cry.
綾子ちゃん、私ありがとう。そしてごめん。なんで なんで綾子ちゃんが謝るの？
本当はね、私エリちゃんがお金持ってくところ見ちゃってたんだ。
What?
でもね、私その場でエリちゃんのこと止めてあげられなかった。エリちゃんのことを本当に思ったら、私あの場で言うべきだった。後悔してるんだ。
Not to worry, Sage. Oh, god damn it.
私の方がお姉ちゃんなのに勇気がなかった。私にもっと勇気があればこんな大きなことにならなかったのに。だからごめん。私も許して。ごめんね。ごめんね。
Hi, Tatsu! Welcome to the stream! Welcome, everyone! My name is Grant. I'm a variety himbo streamer. I go through, like, a lot of games, usually ones that are, like, either really popular or they're in my backlog of, like, you know, you have to have been there to play it kind of things. I am currently going through Yakuza 3. Wom 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 wom. How was Elite dangerous? That's like EVE Online, isn't it? But it's got like a lot more flying than economy nonsense, right? I hope I'm getting that right. I haven't played either of them, so I don't know what Elite Dangerous is like. Come on, you two. Let's go back inside. Huh? What's wrong? Was good. It's like No Man's Sky and Eve had a baby. Ah, okay, so it's a weird mixture like that. I hope you had a wonderful time in there. If you need to go offline, de-stress, anything like that, you know, bathroom, shower, sleep, get outside, touch grass, whatever it is you need to do after the stream, don't you worry. I'll try and take as great of a care of your viewers as I can. I am probably... What time is it? Yeah, I'm actually probably nearing the end of my own stream. I'm sorry, Tatsu. Everyone's so angry. I don't know what they're going to do when they find out Eri took the money. I mean, Koji and Riona are already fighting. What do we do? Nobody's going to hate anyone. I'll tell you what. Leave the talking to me. What I need you to do is... Got it?
ごめんなさい。
Come. Come on, let's get everyone in the dining room. Alrighty. It's spacey and zooms through space, and it's a lot of space. I know it's a lot of space. A lot of space games love the idea of being like, it's space, it's so far away! But it's like, it's not 100% worth it. Alrighty then, another cutscene. Or sequence. Listen up. We got Ayoko's money back. Really? And you know who the thief is? Not so fast. I actually have to apologize to all of you. Well, Eri came to me yesterday saying she found some money, but I guess it slipped my mind today. And how much was it? 1,000 yen. Which is exactly how much you were missing, right, Ayako? Meaning, there's a good chance the money Eri found yesterday is the same money that went missing from Ayoko's bag. There's no other possibility, don't you guys think? I'm sorry, Mitsuyo. All of this could have been avoided if I just remembered sooner. Everyone, I'm really sorry. See? Was just a little forgetful. I think we should be glad none of us turned out to be thieves. Probably deserved it for how I treated Koji. It's all in the past now. Yay! We lied to get out of a bad situation. I'm just glad I got my money back. Though now I'm realizing I'm starving. What's for dinner? I want to eat too. Me three. We totally forgot about dinner. Right. Let's get moving. Try not to eat the table while we're gone. Actually, why don't you all go play outside while we cook? We'll come get you when we're ready. The little white lies. Just the teeny sweetest white lies. Well, guess we better get started. Look, if you tried telling the Yakuza, like, that kind of equivalency of a lie, where it's like, oh, we lost the 10 million yen, but then we found it again. Oh, what's up? What's wrong? I saw him again. Are you sure? Probably spying as deaf. Alright, I'll handle it. Make sure everyone gets inside. I swear to Christ, are we gonna have to fight him again? I'm gonna go take a look outside. Think you can handle dinner while I'm gone? I'll be fine, don't worry. But if I'm not back in time for dinner, you guys can start without me. He's a captain of a Yakuza family here in Okinawa. Oh, hello, another worm. Worm. You got a worm. Here we go. There's the van. That looks to be the van. Okay. It's not down there. Is that the van there? He doesn't look to be on the beach.
Sir Dragonx 88 demands you drink.
Alrighty then, time to drink. Okay, so it's not them. Okay, where the fuck is this? Because it's like... I should go outside and see what's up. Okay. Where the fuck is... How is this the difficult part? Why is this part not... Oh my god. Game, hello? He's not out here. Come on. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. So we go out here. We go down here. Take the worm. We got a worm. Yep, that's the same conversation as before. Where in the world? Seriously? I don't see him anywhere. Also, there's a box there. I need to pick it up. I can't believe they wanted me to, like, go all the way down to get to here. Looks like something washed ashore. A wooden box. Yep, let's take it. Let's see what we get. An old magazine. Yep, sure, let's get the old magazine. Worm. Okay. Where are the kids? Back again.
俺の答えは変わってねえぞ。
いや、今日はそういうんじゃねえんです。
ん？じゃあ何の用だ？
今日は兄貴にどうしても頼みたいことがあって。
What kind of favor are we talking? It's got to do with this little lady. You mean the girl with the sketchbook? That's right. 2 nights ago, she just disappeared. Nobody knows where she could have gone. You think she ran away? Don't know. We got men searching the streets and all, but they haven't found so much as a trace of her yet. Have you gone to the police? Well, not exactly. Why not? You should file a missing persons report. I don't know that we really can. What do you mean? Well, the truth of it is, she's the daughter of a guy the boss used to do business with. Now the boss is taking care of the girl, yeah, but he never officially adopted her. If the cops found out about that, they'd ship her back to her parents, no questions asked. And we don't want that? Right. Saki-san's parents are real scum of the earth, let me tell you. Her dad gambled all their money away and then some. Then would come home stinking of booze and beat the daylights out of the girl and her mom. Her mom, on the other hand, was always sleeping around, acting like she didn't want a damn thing to do with her. So then Nakahara took Saki in to protect her. Yep. 3 years back, we got asked to collect on our dad's gambling debt. So the boss went over to their house, but when he walked inside, what happened? He found the guy dead, hanging blue face from a rope in their living room. Saki-san still clutching his lifeless leg. And her mom? Probably off with one of her fuckboys. Lady never gave a single shit about Saki-san. Which is why Nakahara took her in? Yep. The boss looks scary, sure, but he's got a good heart. It just wasn't in him to leave Saki-san like that. And yeah, he complained at first about how much trouble it was raising a kid, but it wasn't long till he ended up a proud father. Now he treats Saki-chan like she's his own flesh and blood. That's amazing. Hi there, sir. Thank you for the himbo cam. Remember the game's worms? I will remember the game worms. Yep. But word has it her mom's back in town. That's what she wants to take Saki-san back. Why now, after all this time? Beats me. Probably so she can have a maid to do all the housework while she goes out and parties. Anyway, the boss has been trying to keep the little lady in the office so her mom wouldn't be able to find her. Which is why she was there when I stopped by. Yep, and now that she's missing, the boss is real worried. Saki's not a child anymore, though. Couldn't she just call him if she needed to? Call him? Not a chance in hell. Why not? The girl's mute. What? The doctor said it's some kind of mental block. Probably from watching her dad hang himself right in front of her. So you see, she can't call us. And that's why she has the sketchbook. Come on, Anaki. We gotta find her as soon as possible. Please. Right? What we need to do.
親父は荒れちまって手がつけられねえ状態です。だから兄貴に出張ってもらって、とりあえず親父を落ち着かせてほしいんです。
なんで俺なんだ？
Why me?
先日の一件から親父は兄貴に一目置いてるみてえです。だからここは兄貴しか収められねえと。
ちょっと待て。
はい？
さっきから聞いていると、俺のことを兄貴兄貴って何言ってるんだ？
だって兄貴は兄貴じゃないですか。
お前は竜道一家の若頭だろう。俺はお前の兄貴分でも何でもない。
まあ、その話はいいとして。
よくない。お前みたいなやつに兄貴と呼ばれたら、うちの子供たちに悪影響だろうが。
別にいいじゃないですか。俺は兄貴の強さと男気に惚れたんです。俺にとって兄貴は兄貴なんです。
Kiryu doesn't want that.
じゃあ自分、車回してきますんでお願いします。兄貴。
We're gonna have to walk from here, Anaki. I don't remember agreeing to this. Well, I've come this far. Might as well see it through. Let's get moving, Anaki. Alright. Alright. It's time! What's it time for, Pox? What? What time is it, Pox? Ooh. Hey! God damn you! No! Give me back my shirt. I'm gonna need your wallet. I've been taking these hostesses out to eat, and they got expensive taste. You ain't gonna give it to me? Guess I'm gonna get a workout for food. Alright, time to fight a Yakuza. Feel like I burned off all those calories and then some. Sorry for bothering you. You can have this. Thank you for the charcoal. Probably not gonna help me. Nope. Alright, in we go. You're back from the shower, you're cleaner than whistle. No, righto. Got hit with a metal chair. You're gonna need to be in the hospice. He will. You wish they redid The Way of the House Husband? Here's the thing about The Way of the House Husband. The anime was meant, like, their intention wasn't to be, like, an anime. That was just simply how Netflix advertised it, which is a little bit unfortunate. But here's the other thing. There is a live-action Way of the House Husband. There is a live-action one, which is, like, you know, does the same sort of energies. Where's the boss? Hello.
どうも荒れてるみたいだな。
A typhoon has been through. Oh yeah, no, a typhoon. He's angry. What do you want this time? Sorry, but I'm not in the mood to talk about your little land problem. Rikia told me what's going on with Saki. Ugh, that's Rikia for you. Never knows when to keep his damn mouth shut. This ain't your problem, Kiryu. Why don't you go look for her? Can't. Wouldn't be so miserable if it was that easy. What do you mean? She ran away because she don't want to live with me no more. I'd just scare her off if I went hunting for her now. You don't know that for sure. Why don't you try to figure out why she ran away? It wouldn't be too late to catch up to her if you go now. Rikia told me Saki's mom has been looking for her recently. Maybe Saki just wanted to see her again after all this time. Same difference. Either she wants to be with her mom, or she doesn't want to be with me. God damn it. Am I really worse than that miserable whore? Nakahara. Guess a Yakuza like me doesn't have any business in taking a child in the first place, huh? That's not true. All children need is someone who really, truly cares about them. It doesn't matter what you do for a living. The hell do you know? You think you're some kind of kid expert just 'cause you run a fucking orphanage? I know enough. I was an orphan myself. Huh? Not only that, the man who raised me was in the Yakuza. And since I have no memories of my birth parents, that man is more of a father than I ever had. He might even have been a Yakuza. Yeah, but I loved him all the same. And I'm sure Saki loves you too. But it's natural for her to miss her mom. She's still a kid after all. You really think? Of course. Now get out there and find her before someone else does. But... I can't. Why not? Look at me, Kiryu-san. Why would Saki ever want to come back to this mess after seeing her mother? A thug like me could never compare to an actual parent. I'm just gonna have to face the facts. Saki's gone. You really think so? Yeah, I do. Speaking American freedom units. Okay, a typhoon is not a hurricane. A typhoon goes in the other direction.
俺が先から話を聞いてやる。
なんでお前さんが？
俺もな、あんたと一緒で目の前に困っているガキがいると放っておけないたちなんだ。
ちょっとあんた、俺はあんたから土地を取り上げようと。
安心しな。別に酒を連れ戻したところで土地の話を持ち出す気はねえよ。
What is up with my
それと
sides?
これとは話は別だ。今は先のことだけを考えようじゃねえか。
お前。
あんたんとこの若いの借りるぜ。行くぞ、力也。
はい、兄貴。
Alright, find Saki. If we're really gonna look for Saki, I don't have the slimmest idea of where to start. And we'll just have to ask around. We can focus on the area right around the office for now. Nobody's seen her. You don't know where Amal is? Nope, sorry to say. Is there anywhere you haven't looked? Nowhere she'd be likely to turn up. Only stone left unturned is Hatsumachi. Hatsumachi? Why haven't you checked there? Place is the biggest red light district on the island. Chock full of hostess clubs, brothels, all sorts of smut of kids not gonna go anywhere near. Besides, what? It's Tamashiro family turf. Things get real hairy real fast if we showed our faces over there. Then it's settled. We're going to Hatsumachi. But Anaki, I just told you, Hatsumachi's the only place you haven't looked. I don't care whose turf it is. We're going. Well, you're welcome to stay behind if you think the Tamashiros are really that scary. Like hell that's gonna happen. I'm coming. Good. Now let's go. Onwards. As the freedom units would say, we're manifesting destiny right now. Alright, this way is... okay, so where's the map? Okay. So... Okay, so we just need to, yep, cross the street and get through there. Damn it, I can't just, like, walk through the fucking alley. Nope, that's not where I need to go. Nope. Alright, calm down. Tell me what's happened. It's Saki! What about her? I saw her in Hatsumachi with some woman I've never seen before. Something feels real off about the whole thing. Are you sure it was her? Oh, well, if it isn't the dashing young fellow from before, this must be fate. Come on! We don't got time for hopeless flirting. Let's try and focus. Where did you see Saki? Coming out of the convenience store over at the intersection with some woman who was absolutely dressed to the nines. I wonder who she was. Maybe Saki's mother. You really think she went back? Hard to say. The only way to know for sure is to find her and ask, I guess. By the way, Rikia, you gonna have a party tonight? A party? Oh shit, it's the boss's birthday! I've been so distracted! Cookie for Pox! Here's your cookie, Pox. He's not gonna be in any good mood for celebration if we don't find sake. Then we're not doing ourselves any favors by standing around. Come on, let's go. Okay, I am going to need to save the... Can I save the game here? No, I need to actually, like, go to a phone booth. I am going to save the game here, because it's getting late at night, and I am going to need to... Return to title screen? Yes. I am going to save the game there, and I am going to need to call it a night. So, ding. So, yeah. Because I have some stretches that I'm gonna need to do as part of, like, my physiotherapy. I will be seeing the physiotherapist again next Friday. So I want to, like, try and stick to, you know, doing the stretches that they've asked me to in an attempt to try and, like, you know, assist with the whole diagnosing, like, what's up with my back from being so weak and what have you. So, but yeah, I just want to say thank you everyone who came along tonight. I really appreciate it. It was lovely seeing some new faces. Minty Fresh, if you're still here. Minty Twirl, sorry, not Minty Fresh. Minty Twirl, thank you for being in here. Izzy, it was nice seeing you again. And you too, Xerix. Eric's Phantom and Tatsu, thank you so much for the raid. I hope you all had a wonderful morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are. I am going to have us quickly raid into someone. Give me a moment. Let me see who is online. We have... Nope. 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 Let's go for... let's go for... Ooh, Des the Wolf is streaming. Alright, we're gonna go raid into Des the Wolf. If you will all like to join with me. Ding dong. We are gonna be using our normal raid message. We're gonna use our generic raid message, sorry. We're gonna go with Himbo Raid. Show us your cutest guys, gals, and non-binary pals, or prepare to get swole. If you don't have the emotes from subscription, that's okay. You're welcome to use whichever other kinds of emotes you have available to you. I will be back online tomorrow night. I am going to be streaming Baldur's Gate 3 with Code the Yoshi, so hopefully I'll see some of you there or over at Code the Yoshi's side. And otherwise, I want to say thank you again for coming along to tonight's stream. I greatly appreciate it. I hope you'll all join with me as we go and raid into Des the Wolf, and should hopefully see you all next time. Bye for now.